Hello guys, and welcome back to another slow, quiet journey into the forgotten past. Tonight, we'll drift back in time to an era before screens, before books, even before cities. A time when human life was simpler on the surface, but full of quiet meaning and survival. Tonight's story is not about kings or battles or ancient monuments. It's about something much smaller, yet endlessly fascinating. Childhood. Specifically, what it was like to grow up in the Stone Age. Before schools. Before toys. Before childhood was even considered special. What did children do all day in the prehistoric world? What did they learn? How did they play? And how did they grow? To answer those questions, let's imagine a small group of humans, perhaps 15 or 20, gathered near the mouth of a cave. The fire crackles softly. The wind outside rustles the leaves of trees that have never been cut. Among the adults are children, some barely walking, others nearing adulthood. They do not carry backpacks or lunch boxes. They have no bedtime stories or board games, but they are learning, constantly. Stone Age childhood was not a protected phase of innocence. It was the beginning of responsibility. Children were expected to watch, copy, help, and eventually contribute. There was no formal education, but that doesn't mean there was no learning. In fact, childhood was full of it, layered into every small task, every walk through the woods, every quiet observation of adult hands tying a knot or gutting a fish. Morning might begin as the sun rose. There were no alarms, but the world itself signaled the start of the day. Birds sang, smoke lifted, adults began moving. And so did the children. A little girl might be sent with her older sister to collect firewood. A boy might walk to the stream to fill an animal's skin with water. These weren't chores in the way we think of them, they were life, necessary and natural. Children learned about distance, weight balance, and danger without worksheets or lectures. Mid-morning, they would eat maybe some roasted roots, dried meat, or berries collected the day before. Then came the core of the day: imitation, learning by watching. Children followed adults as they hunted, gathered, built shelters, and made tools. They asked questions, not with words but with eyes. They were silent observers, slowly becoming skilled in the tasks that kept the group alive. Gender roles existed, but they were often flexible. Girls typically stayed near to camp, helping with food, weaving, and fire tending. Boys might venture further, trailing behind hunters or practicing with small spears. But these roles weren't rigid. In some tribes, girls hunted. In others, boys cooked. The goal was survival, not social expectation. And yes, they played. Play was everywhere. Children chased one another, pretending to be wolves or deer. They threw pebbles at trees, improving their aim. They carved small animals from bone or clay. They made whistles from bird bones. They rolled stones, stacked sticks, and laughed. Their games taught real skills: focus, coordination, strategy. Even in a world filled with danger, there was time for joy. There were no schools, but there were stories. At night, when the fire burned low and the stars hung heavy in the sky, elders told tales of brave hunters, clever spirits, and ancient dangers. Children listened closely. These stories weren't just for fun. They were education. They carried moral lessons, survival knowledge, and group identity. To remember a story was to remember who you were. Spirituality was often introduced early. A child might learn which tree was sacred, or which animals were messengers of the unseen world. Rites of passage began young. Losing a tooth, making a successful throw, surviving a sickness, all these were moments marked not just with pride, but with meaning. As children grew, their tasks became more serious. A boy might be invited on his first real hunt. A girl might be trusted to lead a food-gathering trip. There were no report cards, no graduation ceremonies, but the group noticed. The moment a child truly helped, really contributed, they were no longer just a child. They were useful. They belonged. And at night, they slept near family, under furs or leaves. The cave walls offered shelter. The sounds of night, the owl, the wind, the distant howl of something wild, were familiar, not frightening. They fell asleep to the rhythm of breathing, the occasional cough, the warmth of many bodies sharing space. So what did Stone Age children do all day? They learned. They played. They helped. They listened. They watched. They slowly became the people they were meant to be, not through lectures, but through life. Childhood in the Stone Age wasn't always easy, but it was natural. It was human. It was deeply connected to the earth, the tribe, and the rhythm of survival. Thank you for listening. If you're still awake, that's wonderful. And if your eyes have already drifted closed, that's okay too. You're safe, you're warm, and far, far away in time a child is falling asleep beside a fire, dreaming of tomorrow's walk in the forest. The light is softer now, the air cooler. The shadows stretch longer across the land as another day in the ancient world slowly unwinds. Somewhere, not far from the last embers of a fire, a group of children sit quietly, their bodies tired, but their minds still awake, still listening. This is not a time of school bells or structured lessons. This is the end of a Stone Age day, a day full of learning without a classroom, a day full of growth, without charts or measurements, a day stitched together from firewood, footsteps, gestures, and quiet understanding. For the children of that time, each hour carried a lesson. Some were obvious: how to shape a stick into a tool, how to carry water without spilling, how to tell which berries to eat and which to avoid. But others were more subtle, like how to move quietly through a forest, how to listen with the whole body, how to feel the weather changing before it showed itself in the sky. A child might not even know they are learning. They are simply doing what is expected, what is modeled, what has been done for thousands of years before. Watching someone scrape bark from a tree, they learn what kind of wood bends and what kind snaps. Watching someone tie a binding, they memorize the motion, the tension, the grip. Learning was not separate from life, it was life, and through it all, the body was always in motion. There were no desks, no chairs, no stillness beyond sleep. Children squatted by streams, stood on stones, climbed trees, ran after one another, leapt across gaps, ducked under branches. Every movement strengthened them. Every stumble taught caution. Every scratch from a thorn was a gentle, bleeding reminder of limits. Their education was full of pain, but not cruelty. Full of structure, but not rules. It was organic. It was shaped by nature and by the group. But there was something else they learned, quietly over time: how to belong. Belonging was not earned with tests or trophies. It came when an older child asked you to help. When an adult handed you a task and trusted you to carry it out. When you returned from the woods with the thing they asked for, and someone looked at you not as a child, but as part of the rhythm of the day. This transition from little observer to useful hand was not marked by ceremony, not always. Sometimes there were rites. In some cultures there may have been symbolic initiations, but often it was more subtle. One day you were watching, the next you were helping. One day you were the youngest, and before long someone smaller was copying you. And still there was room for imagination, for creation, for mystery, because even though the Stone Age was built on survival, it was also full of spirit, of art, of questions no one could answer. Children were not excluded from these mysteries. They heard the stories around the fire. They saw the shapes painted on cave walls. They felt the pulse of ritual, even if they didn't fully understand its meaning. And slowly, piece by piece, they began to carry the stories too. Maybe a child carved their first animal into clay, not because someone told them to, but because they had seen it done. Maybe they stacked stones in a way that mimicked the sun's path, without knowing it would be repeated by others for generations. Maybe they hummed a melody, heard from an elder, and passed it on without thinking. This was culture, moving like breath, soft and slow and steady. In the late hours, as darkness surrounded the camp, the fire became the center of everything. Flames moved like dancers, smoke rose like a prayer, and the tribe drew close. Not because they feared the night, though the dark had its dangers, but because this closeness was comfort. It was memory. It was protection, both physical and emotional. Children sat silently, not because they were told to be quiet, but because the stories demanded it. The elders spoke not in lectures, but in rhythms. They spoke of the first animals, of the moon's journey, of the time before time. These stories explained the world, but they also didn't. They left space. Space for wonder, space for dreaming, space for the listener to find their own place inside them. And so, as the fire dimmed, so did the voices. One by one, heads rested on arms, eyes closed. The stars above, endless and ancient, watched over them. No nightlight, no bedtime story from a book, just the soft breathing of the people they loved. Just the warmth of a shared blanket. Just the echo of an ancient voice fading into sleep. Even sleep was different. It came not at a set time, not after a checklist of tasks, but when the body was ready, when the day's weight became too much, when the stories were finished, when the fire had done its job. The world did not sleep all at once, but in waves, and the child, wrapped in fur and shadow, drifted off knowing the night would be watched by someone else. We often think of the past as a place of hardship, of dirt and danger, and in some ways it was. But it was also a place of rhythm, of knowing your role, of being part of something so ancient that it didn't need to be explained. For the children of the Stone Age, growing up was not an event. It was a slow unfolding, a spiral, a circle, a process that had no clear start or finish, only motion. And now, as we drift with them toward the edge of sleep, it's comforting to know that somewhere, long before we were born, children closed their eyes beside fires just like this, with stars just like ours, and dreams that may not be so different from the ones we carry now. Let the fire fade. Let the night settle in. Let the past hold you gently, for just a little while longer. And when sleep comes, as it surely will, may it come like it did back then, quietly, fully, without resistance. You are part of the story now, and stories never truly end. They just change shapes. Until next time, rest. Night has passed. The fire is only glowing now, low and quiet, like a heartbeat under ash. The morning light, thin and pale, creeps into the shelter. One by one, bodies stir. Some turn over. Some sit up slowly, rubbing their eyes, stretching limbs still heavy from sleep. There is no morning rush, no urgency, just the soft return to motion as the world gently welcomes another day. The Stone Age child rises again, not to a list of tasks, not to a clock, but to the rhythm that shaped every part of their existence. There is smoke in the air from the rekindled fire. Someone is cracking bones open to reach the marrow inside, a rich, fatty food. A child watches this carefully. They've seen it before, but today they might try it for themselves. It's not easy. The bone has to be positioned just right. The stone used to crack it must be heavy enough, sharp enough, and the swing must be precise, not too soft, not too wild. When the bone splits and the pale, creamy marrow is revealed, there is a quiet triumph, not celebrated loudly, just a small glance from an elder. That is enough. A short time later, a group sets out, older children included. Today might be a day for tracking, for gathering, or for something as simple as exploring. Movement is constant in this world. The landscape changes with the seasons, and the people move with it. Children learn to recognize patterns, where the berries grow after rain, where animals come to drink when the sun is strong, which trees lean toward light, and which ones hide shade. This is learning, though there are no books to open, no pages to turn. The child learns by moving, by touching, by tasting, by stumbling and trying again. And slowly, the world opens up to them. One child kneels at a stream, staring into the water. Their hand moves quickly, trying to catch a small fish darting near the edge. They fail. Then try again, and again. And each time they become faster, calmer, more focused. Until one day, they do not miss. Further along the trail, another child finds a bird's feather. They hold it up to the light, admiring the way it shines, the way it bends but doesn't break. Maybe they tie it to a small stick and carry it like a symbol. Maybe they leave it behind. But for a brief moment, they hold something beautiful, and they notice. That noticing quiet, personal, deep is something modern life often rushes past. But in this world, it is everything. The day is long, and not every moment is filled with usefulness. There is rest, too. There is wandering. There is quiet. A child might lie in the grass and watch clouds. They might hum softly to themselves, tracing patterns in the dirt with a stick. They might sit beside someone older, saying nothing, just feeling the comfort of presence. These moments matter. In the Stone Age, life was slow not because people chose slowness, but because slowness was built into the shape of the day. As the sun begins its descent, the mood changes again. There is more gathering now of people, of food, of stories. A child who spent the morning trying to shape a flint tool now shows it to others. It's rough, uneven, imperfect, but it's theirs. And someone smiles at it or nods. That's all it takes. In a world without grades or rankings, recognition is quiet but powerful. A glance. A shared moment. A gesture that says you are learning. You are part of this. And perhaps near the fire, another child is mimicking a song they heard last night. The notes are soft, broken, unsure. But they try again. Over time, the melody will settle into their memory. It will become part of the voice they carry. A piece of the tribe's identity, now living inside a new body, ready to be passed on again when the time comes. As night falls, the children once again circle closer to the warmth and light. Bellies are full, eyes are heavy, but the mind is still open. A story begins. Perhaps it's one they've heard many times before. The words are familiar, like the texture of a well-worn blanket. Yet still they listen, because stories don't just entertain. They remind, they connect, they teach without instruction. A tale of a great animal that spoke in dreams, a river that flowed backward in winter, a child who followed the stars and never returned. These stories shape the way they understand the world not as facts, but as truths. And when the fire burns low, the bodies slowly lean against each other. Sleep comes again. The child closes their eyes, and the world narrows to warmth, to breath, to the memory of the day behind them. And without knowing it, they have ground. Just a little. A tiny shift. A moment of strength they didn't have the day before. A detail they noticed that now belongs to them. These small pieces build slowly, layer upon layer, into something we call a person. The child of the Stone Age did not study identity or psychology, but they knew who they were, not through questioning, but through doing, through repeating what was shown, through being trusted, through failing and trying again, through sleeping beside people who would wake if danger came, through knowing they were not alone. And even now, across the span of millennia, their days echo in ours. We may not crack bones for marrow, but we learn through repetition. We may not listen to stories around a fire, but we seek meaning in the dark. We may not walk barefoot through the forest, but we search for a path that feels like home. And just like them, we grow slowly. We belong by learning. We find our place not all at once, but step by careful step. So as the night settles again, and your breath becomes slower, and your eyes become heavier, remember that once, not so far from the shape of who you are now, a child laid their head on the earth, listened to the fire crackle, and trusted the night to carry them. And it did. It always does. Sleep well. You are part of something older than history. Something that began with footsteps in the dirt, stories in the dark, and the quiet courage of a child learning to become. And when the morning came again, it came not with sound but with light. A faint glow touching the tops of trees, sliding across stone, and creeping through gaps in hide-covered shelters. No one called out, no one commanded, but the tribe began to wake one by one, as if moved by something older than habit. A slow breath, a shifting blanket of furs, the gentle murmur of voices half awake. In this world, the day begins quietly, and for the children there is no rush. There are no bells or deadlines, only the steady rhythm of life continuing as it always has. A small child, no older than 4 or 5, reaches out for the warmth of the fire. An older sibling gently guides their hand away from the embers, not with words, but with a touch, with a gesture. That is how teaching begins, not with explanation but with repetition. And again the child learns, the way they always do, by watching, by trying, by doing. This morning, the group prepares to move. Perhaps the seasons have shifted, and the nearby game has grown scarce, or the plants that were once plentiful have dried, faded, fallen. The tribe must follow the land, because the land never waits. And so, a new kind of lesson unfolds: how to travel, how to carry what matters, what to leave behind. A child is handed a small bundle, maybe wrapped in leaves or tied in fur, and told to keep it safe. They do not ask what it holds. They simply nod and clutch it close, because to be given something is to be trusted, and to be trusted is everything. The journey itself is slow, with frequent stops. There are rivers to cross, slopes to climb, branches to duck beneath. The younger ones ride in slings or on backs. The older ones walk barefoot, or in simple wrappings, feet hardened by time. They complain less than one might expect. They have grown used to discomfort. The earth is not soft. The wind is not always kind. But these things do not need to be fought. They are accepted. And by accepting them, children learn strength. Along the way there are moments of wonder. A child spots a deer through the trees, still, alert, beautiful. Everyone pauses, no one speaks. The moment hangs in the air like smoke. Then, the deer is gone. But the silence remains, a kind of shared breath. A lesson not written down, but deeply felt. The world is full of gifts, but they come and go on their own terms. Later, by a stream, they rest. A few of the children begin to stack stones one atop another. The tower sways, leans, topples. They try again. They laugh, softly, even here. During travel, there is time for play. Not because play is separate from learning, but because play is learning. Through stacking stones, they learn balance, weight, patience. Through ladder, They learn joy and how to share it. When they reach a new place, there is work to be done. The older ones begin gathering sticks and leaves. The younger ones watch, then help, then carry. A new shelter must be made. A new fire must be started. A place becomes home not with walls, but with familiarity, with action, with effort shared. And again, the children take part not because they are forced to, but because that is what everyone does. Everyone contributes. Everyone matters. In this world, value is not measured in words or grazings. It is measured in presence, in willingness, in how quietly and naturally one becomes useful. Later, food is prepared, maybe meat from a recent hunt, or roots found nearby. The children sit close, eating with their hands, trading bites, chewing slowly. Meals are not rushed. There is no noise of plates, no scraping of forks. Only the occasional crackle from the fire, the murmur of quiet conversation, the sounds of a tribe existing together. And again, when the sky darkens, stories return. One elder, older than all the others, speaks with a slow voice. The children lean in not only to hear the words, but to feel the space between them. The story might be new, or it might be one they've heard 100 times. But in either case holds them. It carries them. It links them. Tonight, the story is about the stars. About how they came to be, how they watch over the living, how they whisper in dreams. The children look up, some with tired eyes, some still wide awake, and they see them. The same stars seen by their ancestors, the same stars we see now. Nothing has changed, and yet everything has. And when sleep returns, it comes gently. The fire is low, the air is still. A child curls next to their sibling, and their eyes begin to close. They do not know what the next day will bring, but they do not fear it, because in this world, each day is like the last, full of motion, full of learning, full of togetherness. They do not need toys to imagine. They do not need books to understand. They do not need clocks to measure growth. Their lives are measured in steps taken, stories remembered, tasks completed, glances exchanged. They are small humans becoming bigger humans, slowly, naturally. And so as you too begin to let your breath slow and your body soften, remember that you carry echoes of this time inside you, somewhere deep within. Your bones remember walking barefoot on earth. Your breath remembers nights beside fire. Your heart remembers the feeling of belonging to something quiet and ancient. Let that memory hold you now. Let it wrap around you like fur. Let it carry you gently into rest. You are not far from the children who once dreamed under these same stars. You are part of them, and they somehow are part of you. Sleep now. The world is old, but you are safe, and tomorrow will come when it is ready. The fire has died completely now. Only a faint circle of ash remains, like a memory drawn on the ground. The stars are still out, though fewer eyes are watching them. In the soft, dark quiet of early morning, most are still asleep, but not all. A child stirs, not out of fear, not out of discomfort, simply because sometimes the body wakes before the sun. They sit up, rubbing their face with small hands, blinking slowly into the low light, and there is someone else nearby, an elder, sitting silently, gazing at the sky. No words are exchanged, not yet. There is no need. The quiet is enough. Eventually, the child edges closer, sitting beside the elder. Their shoulders touch. It is not a lesson. It is not a ritual. But it is something. It is presence. And presence is its own kind of education. Moments like this are rarely remembered in detail, but they shape us. They settle in the body like stones in a river, small, steady, unnoticed, and yet permanent. The child might not remember the exact words spoken that morning, but they will remember the stillness, the feeling of being trusted to sit in silence beside someone who has seen many more seasons than they have. Later, when the sun rises fully and the rest of the group begins to stir, the rhythm picks up again. This day might not be like the others. Something is different. There is excitement in the air, though quiet, a kind of anticipation. Today, one of the older children will hunt with the adults for the first time. It is not a ceremony, not exactly. There are no drums, no speeches, but everyone knows. The child being prepared moves carefully, face serious. They are handed a light spear, not a toy, a real one. They check the tip, run their finger along the binding. It's not perfect, but it's theirs. The group sets out. The child walks near the back, not yet a leader, but no longer just an observer. Every movement is a test. Every noise in the forest is something to be read, a crack, a flutter, a shift in air. The older hunters do not explain. They do not whisper advice. But the child watches them, and watches the ground, and watches the wind. This is the test, not of strength but of awareness. Elsewhere, back at the camp, other children are busy. One is learning how to prepare hides, scraping and softening, over and over, under the guidance of a patient aunt. Another is attempting to weave fibers into a usable rope, fingers clumsy but determined. A small group gathers near the stream, experimenting with building a tiny dam of sticks and stones, not for any practical purpose, but just to see if they can. These small actions might seem unimportant, but in the world they live in, every skill matters. Even games become blueprints for future memory. Even mistakes are recorded silently in the mind, ready to be corrected later. And above all, the process is slow. There is no hurry to become skilled, no deadline for growth. Learning happens as the seasons do, gradually, steadily, and without panic. By midday, the hunting group returns. They are quiet. No animal was caught today. But the child who joined them carries their spear differently now. Not proudly, but with familiarity. It is no longer new. It has been used. Their face is calm. They have walked the path. They will walk it again. At night, as the fire returns and the group settles around its warmth, something shifts. The elder who tells stories points toward the child and says a name, not loudly, not dramatically, but with meaning. The name is followed by a story, and the story includes the child not as a hero, not as a savior, but as someone who was there, someone who took part, someone who saw. And just like that, the child becomes something more, not through reward, not through praise, but through inclusion. They are now part of the tribe's memory. Their presence has entered the shared story. That is enough. That is everything. Over time, these stories pile up. A child becomes a sibling, becomes a caretaker, becomes a leader, bit by bit, and yet never alone. Growth is a shared task in this world. No one is raised by one person. They are shaped by all the elders who guide them, the siblings who teach them, the animals they track, the forest they listen to, the fire they tend. There is no moment when someone says, "You are grown." There is only the quiet realization that one day, you are not being shown anymore, you are the one showing. One day, your hands are no longer guided. They guide. One day, you are the one asked to tell the story, and you do. Not because you must, but because it is time. The child you once were still lives inside you, but now your voice is stronger, steadier, slower. The same stories you once heard are now told in your breath, shaped by your memory. And the cycle continues. So as you rest now, maybe curled up just like that child once was, let yourself soften into this thought. That growth doesn't come all at once. It comes in layers. It comes in moments of silence, in glances exchanged, in long walks, in first mistakes, in second tries, in stories told again and again until they are no longer someone else's but yours. You are still growing, slowly, quietly, naturally, just like they did. And you always will. Sleep well. The fire is still burning. The stars are still watching. And the story is still being written with you in it. Another season begins to shift. The trees are not as full. The wind carries a different scent, drier, cooler, filled with the quiet signals of change. The sun still rises and the fires are still lit, but the rhythm of the tribe bends gently with time. And so, too, do the children, for the smallest among them. The world is still a place of wonder, full of sounds and textures and motion. But for those who have grown through many moons and many migrations, something begins to awaken. A restlessness, a reaching, a quiet at not yet named. It is not yet adulthood, but it is no longer childhood. It is the in-between. And like all things in the Stone Age world, it arrives not with labels, not with sudden declarations, but with slow recognition by others, and then by the self. One child taller now, steadier in movement, more silent when they walk, begins to separate. Not far, just a little. They rise earlier than the rest. They return later from the forest. They speak less during meals, but their eyes watch everything. They are listening in a new way, not just to others, but to something inside. They still laugh sometimes. They still sit with younger ones, help carry water, play with bone, carved toys on quiet evenings. But there is a shift, a weight that wasn't there before, and the tribe feels it. They don't speak of it directly, but they prepare for it, because every child must one day walk away, just far enough to feel the world without the tribe's shadow. Not forever, just long enough to hear their own voice echo across open land. And so, one morning, a pouch is prepared, a few strips of dried meat, a stone blade, a wrapped bundle of herbs, not a gift, not a goodbye, just a gesture that says we know. We see you, we trust you. The child takes it, says nothing, steps beyond the camp into the trees. They do not run, they do not hesitate, but they do not know what they are looking for. Only that they must look. This is not exile, it is not punishment. It is a part of growing that cannot be taught by others. It must be felt, to be alone, to hear only your breath, your footsteps, your hunger, to make a fire with no one watching, to sit in the dark and wonder whether you are ready. They sleep that night under stars they know well, but somehow they seem different now, sharper, colder, brighter. The stories of the elders echo in the back of their mind, but they are distant now, and in their place, something new begins to form. A question without words, a yearning without shape. For 2 days, perhaps 3, they walk. They eat little, they speak to no one. They follow birds, then rivers, then the wind. They remember how to listen for snakes, how to read broken branches. They remember what plants not to touch. And with every hour, they stop being the child the tribe once protected. They become something else. And when they return, because they always return, they are not greeted with celebration. There is no applause, no feast, only glances, a hand on the shoulder, a space open near the fire, a new silence when they speak, because now their words carry something different, a shadow, a depth, a knowing, not boastful, just there, and everyone feels it. They are still young, but no longer small. They are not a leader, but not a follower either. They are something in between, something becoming. And from now on, the younger ones will begin to look at them differently. They will notice how they sit, how they work, how they respond, because without being told, they know this is what comes next. And so the cycle turns again. There is no certificate, no age that marks the change, just movement, distance, return. Later that night, as the stars return and the fire rises once again, the child sits quietly. They hold the same cup, eat the same food, listen to the same stories. But inside, they carry something no one else can touch, an experience that belongs only to them. And maybe, as the story ends, a younger child leans close and asks, "Were you afraid out there?" And the older one smiles, a small smile, a quiet one, and says, "Yes," but says no more, because the rest must be discovered, not explained. And so, even now there, feeling the weight of your own body settling into stillness, know this: growing up is not a moment, it is a walk. A night under strange stars, a hunger you must sit with, a fire you must light yourself. And when you return from that walk, however long it takes, you will find your place again. Not because others tell you who you are, but because you know it for yourself. Sleep now, you have walked far. And there is still more ahead, but not yet, not tonight, for no rest. You are becoming. The night stretches long and deep, a velvet blanket draped over the world, softening edges and silencing the day's noise. The fire, once fierce and crackling, now burns low, sending up a thin ribbon of smoke that disappears into the endless dark. Somewhere in the quiet, the tribe sleeps, or at least they try to. But the mind of the child who has walked away, who has wandered alone and returned, does not rest easily. It wanders too, following trails invisible to others. It circles like a slow, searching animal, tracing patterns made by stars and memories, light and shadow, fear and courage. Growing up in this ancient world was never a simple story. It was not a single moment or a clear line crossed. It was instead a slow unspooling, a weaving of countless threads, each one subtle, yet powerful, forming a tapestry that could only be seen clearly in time. The child, once cradled and carried, now begins to stand taller in their own eyes. They feel the shifting weight of responsibility, the quiet pulse of belonging, and the gentle tug of something beyond the campfire's glow. There is something timeless about this transition, something that transcends the centuries and reaches through to us even now. It's not about achievements or possessions. It is about becoming part of the story, about stepping from the shadows into the light, about learning not only to survive but to understand. Perhaps it was the way the wind moved through the trees that day, whispering secrets only the quietest ears could hear. Perhaps it was the way the sun slipped behind a ridge, casting long shadows that stretched like fingers across the ground. Or perhaps it was something deeper, something felt, rather than seen, a stirring in the chest, a tightening in the throat, a breath caught between who you were and who you might become. And so the child listens, listens not just to the elders who speak in slow, deliberate tones, but to the silence between their words, to the crackle of firewood, to the rustle of leaves, to the faint, distant calls of birds that signal change. All these sounds form a language, a guidebook written not on pages but in experience. In this world, the greatest lessons are not taught directly. They emerge quietly, like ripples on a still lake, spreading outward until they touch everything. A glance exchanged between siblings, a careful step taken across uneven ground, a moment of hesitation before speaking. These are the threads from which identity is woven. And identity, in turn, is not a fixed shape. It is fluid, it is growing, it is shifting with every breath and every choice. The child who once followed now leads in small ways, carrying water, preparing food, watching younger ones with patient eyes. They are no longer just part of the tribe, they are beginning to shape it. Yet, with this growing power comes a deep humility, because the world is vast and wild and often unforgiving, because knowledge is endless and no one, no matter how wise, ever truly knows everything, because to grow is to realize how much remains to be learned. Perhaps this is why stories were so vital, not simply as entertainment, but as vessels of wisdom passed down through countless generations. Stories that remind the listener of their place in the web of life. Stories that teach patience, courage, and respect. Stories that invite us to see ourselves as part of something greater than any one person or moment. Around the fire, the child hears these stories again and again, each time a little differently. Each time, the story folds into their being a little more deeply, shaping the contours of their mind and heart. They begin to understand that their life is part of a long chain stretching backward into time and forward into the future. And with that understanding comes a profound sense of connection. Connection not only to the tribe and the land, but to the very earth beneath their feet and the sky stretching overhead. To the animals they track and the plants they gather. To the fire that warms them and the night that holds them. The child's world, once small and defined, begins to expand. Not with grand gestures or loud proclamations, but with quiet observation and patient discovery. They notice the subtle shifts in weather, the changing patterns of animal behavior, the different shades of green in the leaves as seasons turn. They learn to read the landscape as a living, breathing story, a story they are now a part of. And as the night deepens and the fire's glow dims to embers, the child feels a calm settling in, a quiet confidence born not from certainty, but from acceptance. Acceptance that they are a small part of a vast, intricate whole. Acceptance that growth is not a race, but a journey without end. In this acceptance there is peace, a soft surrender to the flow of life and time, a gentle opening of the heart to the mysteries that will never be fully known but will always be felt. So as your eyes grow heavy and your breath slows, let yourself sink into this feeling. Let the echoes of ancient footsteps carry you deeper into rest. Let the stories of firelight and stars wrap around you like a soft shawl. You are part of this story. You are part of this world, and you are always becoming. Sleep now, tomorrow waits, but not yet. For now, there is only stillness, only quiet, only you and the slow turning of time. The cycle of days continues unbroken and steady, like the slow turning of a great wheel that never tires. The mornings come with soft light filtering through leaves, touching faces still heavy with sleep. The evenings arrive wrapped in cool air and the sound of distant water. And somewhere between these moments, the child grows not in leaps, but in quiet steps measured and sure. There is no rush here, no pressure to become anything other than what is unfolding naturally. The stone beneath their feet, worn smooth by countless steps before them, reminds them of this. It carries the weight of time, of journeys past and those yet to come. And the child walks on it with care, feeling each texture, each curve, each small crack, as if learning a language older than words. This is the rhythm of growth in a world without calendars or clocks. A world where time is measured not by numbers, but by seasons, by the bending of trees, by the return of certain birds, by the fullness of the moon. Each day holds its own lessons, sometimes sharp and clear, sometimes subtle and slow, but all of them shape the child's understanding of life. The children watch the elders closely, their eyes wide with curiosity and quiet determination. They see how hands move, how to break a stick just so, how to balance a stone, how to weave fibers into something strong and useful. These movements are repeated again and again, not as chores, but as stories told through action. With each repetition, the child internalizes a little more of the knowledge held by their people. But knowledge here is more than skill. It is relationship. It is connection to the earth, to the animals, to the plants, to each other. It is the sense that every step taken is part of a larger dance, an ancient pattern that stretches backward into memory and forward into the unknown. There is also room for wonder, for imagination, for moments when the child pauses to simply feel the air or watch the play of sunlight on water. These moments are not wasted. They are necessary, because growth is not only about doing, it is about being. Being present, being curious, being alive. Sometimes a child will find a small stone or feather or shell that catches their attention. They hold it carefully, turning it over in their hands, marveling at its shape or color. They may tuck it away, a secret treasure, or share it quietly with a friend. These small acts of noticing and sharing are threads in the fabric of their experience. As the tribe moves through the land, the children move with it, sometimes trailing behind, sometimes walking beside adults, sometimes carrying small bundles of gathered food or tools. They learn the landscape by walking it, by listening to its sounds, by feeling its textures beneath their skin. This is not just survival, it is a deep knowing, a communion with place that roots them in the world. When night falls, the fire becomes the center once again. Shadows dance on faces, and voices rise and fall in the telling of stories that are part history, part myth, part lesson. The child listens, rapt, not just to the words but to the rhythms, the pauses, the changes in tone. These stories shape their imagination, their values, their sense of belonging. Sometimes the stories speak of the stars, how they guide, how they watch, how they are ancestors looking down. Sometimes they speak of animals, how to respect them, how to honor their spirits. Sometimes they speak of the land itself, the rivers and mountains and trees that hold the tribe's memory. And through all of this, the child begins to see themselves as part of something vast and enduring. Not separate, not alone, but woven into the great tapestry of life. This understanding is both humbling and empowering. It offers a sense of place and purpose that no words could fully capture. So as you lie here now, feeling your breath slow and your mind soften, imagine yourself stepping softly into this ancient world. Imagine the cool earth beneath your feet, the warmth of fire on your skin, the sound of stories rising into the night. Let yourself drift on these images, carried gently by the flow of time. Let the quiet rhythm of growth soothe you, reminding you that becoming is a journey without end. Sleep now. The night is deep, and you are held. Tomorrow will come, but for now rest in the stillness of this moment. Part of a story as old as the stars themselves. The night lingers like a slow breath held just before release, wrapping the world in a quiet stillness that feels both endless and fleeting. In this silence, the child who once wandered alone and returned now rests, but the mind does not settle fully. It wanders through memories and questions, tracing paths as winding and complex as the forests that cradle the tribe. There is a softness to these thoughts, a gentle unspooling of understanding that cannot be rushed or forced. Growth, after all, is patient. It unfolds in whispers and shadows, in moments caught between sleep and waking, in the spaces where words fail but feelings linger. To grow in this ancient world was to learn not only with the body, but with the heart and the soul. It was to listen deeply to the crackle of firewood, to the murmur of leaves, to the subtle shifts in light as day turned to night. Every sound, every sight, every sensation carried meaning, weaving a tapestry of knowledge that was at once practical and profound. The child absorbed these lessons without realizing it, like the way the earth absorbs rain, quietly and without complaint. There were no classrooms here, no textbooks or teachers standing before rows of seated faces. Instead, learning happened in the rhythm of daily life, in the steady repetition of tasks, in the watchful eyes of elders and siblings who offered guidance not with commands, but with example and gentle correction. A touch on a shoulder, a shared glance, a soft word spoken, at just the right moment, these were the lessons that shaped character and skill. The child's hands grew, skilled at tasks once foreign, flint knapping, fire tending, tracking the movements of animals whose patterns had been etched into memory long before their birth. Fingers learned to weave fibers into strong edge core enough to bind and carry. Eyes grew sharp, able to detect the faintest signs in the underbrush, the broken twig, the disturbed leaf, the glint of sunlight on fur. The mind, too, stretched and flexed, learning to read not only the land, but the people around them, to understand moods, to sense danger, to recognize kindness. Yet growth was not simply about survival or utility. It was about belonging, about finding one's place in the unspoken web that connected every living thing, about understanding that the earth beneath their feet was not just soil and rock, but a living entity deserving respect, that the animals hunted were not mere prey, but spirits who gave themselves freely to sustain life, that the fire was not just warmth and light, but a sacred center around which stories, wisdom, and identity coalesced. In these lessons, the child learned humility. They learned that knowledge was vast and ever-changing, that no one, no matter how wise, could claim to know all there was to know. They learned to listen more than speak, to observe more than act, to wait and watch and understand before rushing forward. This patience became a quiet strength, a grounding force that steadied them even in moments of fear or uncertainty. Sometimes, when the work was done and the fire's glow softened into embers, the child would find a quiet spot away from the others. There, beneath the canopy of stars, they would sit and reflect, letting their thoughts drift like smoke curling upward. They might trace patterns in the dirt with a stick, or simply watch the night sky, feeling small but connected to something vast and timeless. In these moments of solitude, the threads of experience wove together, forming a deeper sense of self, fragile and strong all at once. The stories told around the fire became a lifeline, a bridge between generations. They spoke of creation and destruction, of heroes and tricksters, of lessons hard won and wisdom passed down. Each telling was an invitation to remember, to imagine, to understand. The child listened not only to the words, but to the spaces between them, to the tone and rhythm, to the emotions carried on each breath. These stories did more than entertain, they shaped the very fabric of identity. As seasons turned and the cycle of life continued, the child found themselves no longer just a receiver of knowledge, but a keeper of it. They began to share what they had learned with younger siblings, with cousins, with friends. Their voice, once hesitant and soft, grew steadier, carrying the weight of experience tempered by humility. They understood that to teach was not to command, but to guide gently, to offer space for others to discover their own path. And through it all, the child carried an awareness of the vastness beyond the camp, the mountains rising like ancient sentinels, the rivers wending like silver threads, the forests stretching endlessly under the sky. They felt both wonder and responsibility. Wonder at the beauty and mystery of the world, responsibility to honor it, to protect it, to live in harmony with it. So as your breath slows and your body sinks deeper into rest, let yourself be carried by this quiet rhythm, the rhythm of becoming. Know that growth is not a destination, but a journey without end. That each step, each moment, each breath is part of a story far greater than any one of us. Sleep now, wrapped in the gentle embrace of time and memory, held by the ancient earth and the watching stars. You are part of this story now and always. The world around the child shifts softly as the days unfold like petals in slow bloom, each one revealing a little more, whispering secrets only the patient can hear. There is a rhythm here, a steady, unhurried beat that marks the passage of time, not in hours or minutes, but in breaths taken, in footsteps traced along well-worn paths, in the slow turning of seasons that wash over the land like gentle tides. In this rhythm, the child moves, no longer quite small, no longer quite a stranger to the vastness of the world. There is a certain quiet majesty in this slow unfolding. It is not marked by sudden leaps or dazzling achievements, but by the subtle accumulation of moments spent watching the light shift through leaves, the way shadows deepen and recede, moments spent tracing the curve of a river with a finger, feeling the coolness of water, hearing the soft murmur as it passes, moments spent sitting by the fire, letting the warmth seep into tired muscles and bones. These moments, seemingly ordinary, are the threads from which a life is woven. The child has learned to move with care for the earth beneath their feet, for the creatures that share their world, for the people who walk beside them. Each step is thoughtful, each touch deliberate. There is no rush to conquer or possess, only a deep desire to belong, to understand, to honor the delicate balance that holds life together. And so, the child watches and listens. They observe the elders as they work, noting the precision of their hands, the ease of their movements born of years and patience. They learn that skill is not merely action, but the harmony between mind and body, the quiet knowledge that comes from repetition and respect. They notice how a glance can carry meaning, how a silence can speak volumes, how a shared smile can convey trust and connection. In the fields and forests, the child finds lessons in every leaf and stone. They discover the language of birdsong, the patterns of animal tracks, the subtle changes in plant growth that signal the coming of rain or frost. This knowledge is not written in books, but etched into memory by experience and keen observation. It is a living wisdom, passed down from those who came before, shaped by the land itself. At night, when the fire's glow softens to embers, and the stars emerge in the vast sky, the child's world expands beyond the immediate and tangible. They listen to stories, tales woven with threads of myth and history, filled with lessons wrapped in wonder. These stories carry the weight of generations, connecting the child to ancestors whose footsteps echo faintly beneath the moonlight. They speak of creation and transformation, of the sacred and the mysterious, of courage and kindness. Through these stories, the child learns that life is a circle, a continuous turning that links past, present, and future. They begin to see themselves not as isolated individuals, but as threads in a great tapestry, each one essential to the whole. This understanding brings with it a quiet strength, a knowing that even the smallest life holds significance, that every action ripples outward in ways unseen. There are also moments of stillness, when the child sits alone, eyes closed, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath them, the rhythm of their own heartbeat, the slow rise and fall of breath. In these moments, the world seems to hold its breath too, waiting, watching, listening. The child feels both small and vast, fragile and enduring, lost and found all at once. Growth in this ancient world is not marked by certificates or ceremonies, but by these quiet moments of awareness. It is in learning to sit with uncertainty, to embrace the unknown, to trust in the slow unfolding of life. It is in recognizing that every step forward is also a step deeper into connection with oneself, with others, with the world. And so, as the night deepens and your own breath slows, allow yourself to sink into this gentle flow. Imagine the child moving through their days with quiet wonder, learning the rhythms of a world both simple and complex, ancient and eternal. Let their journey be a mirror for your own, a reminder that becoming is not a race but a steady walk, a slow dance with time and experience. Sleep now, carried on the soft currents of history and memory, embraced by the endless sky and the steady earth. You are part of this story woven into the fabric of life, always growing, always becoming. The early light seeps gently over the horizon, brushing the tops of ancient trees with soft gold, as if the world itself is awakening slowly from a long, deep dream. In this tender hour, before the bustle of the day takes hold, the child moves quietly through the shadows, feeling the cool earth beneath bare feet, the delicate rustle of leaves underfoot, the faint song of distant birds greeting the morning. The air is thick with possibility, unspoken and unmeasured, and the child is keenly attuned to its subtle whispers. Here, in this world untouched by clocks or calendars, time unfolds not in rigid steps, but in fluid currents. It sweeps and flows like the rivers they know so well, sometimes swift and urgent, sometimes calm and steady, always moving forward yet returning and again. The child has come to understand this dance, learning to move with its rhythms rather than resist them, to be carried gently rather than pushed harshly. There is a patience cultivated in this way of life, a quiet surrender to the slow, natural unfolding of things. The child learns that growth is not a single blazing moment, but a gradual layering of experience, a building of strength and understanding that happens in the spaces between moments. It is in the repetition of simple tasks, the careful gathering of firewood, the attentive shaping of tools, the mindful tending of young siblings that the foundation of maturity is laid. Watching the elders, the child notices how their hands move with practiced ease, how they listen deeply to the land and to each other, how they embody a calm confidence born from years of trial and error, of patience and resilience. These are lessons that cannot be spoken aloud, only felt and absorbed. The child becomes a silent student of this unspoken wisdom, carrying it quietly in their bones and breath. The forest around them is alive with stories. Each tree, stone, and stream holds a memory, a lesson, a fragment of truth. The child learns to read these signs, to sense the changing patterns of life when the berries are ripe, when the deer have moved on, when the rains will come. This knowledge is practical and sacred, weaving the child ever more tightly into the fabric of the world. As night falls, the fire's glow draws the tribe close, wrapping them in warmth and shared presence. The child listens intently to the stories that rise from the embers, tales of ancestors who walked these lands, of spirits who watch from the stars, of lessons learned through hardship and triumph. These stories are more than entertainment. They are a living thread that connects the child to generations past and future, grounding them in a timeless lineage. With each telling, the child's understanding deepens. They begin to see the cycles of life reflected not only in the land, but within themselves, the cycles of birth and growth, of challenge and rest, of solitude and belonging. There is comfort in this knowledge, a reassurance that they are part of a larger story, a continuing song sung softly across time. In quiet moments, the child retreats to the solitude of the woods, where they sit beneath ancient branches and feel the pulse of life vibrating through the earth. Here they are both small and vast, a single breath in a chorus of countless voices. They sense the fragility of their existence and the strength that comes from being part of something enduring. Growth here is a gentle unfolding, an acceptance of both light and shadow. It is learning to carry joy and sorrow with equal grace, to hold hope alongside uncertainty, to move forward with courage tempered by humility. It is the recognition that becoming is not a destination but an endless journey, one that stretches beyond the horizons they see and into the mystery they can only feel. So as your body settles and your mind drifts softly toward rest, let yourself be carried by this ancient rhythm. Imagine yourself walking beside that child, feeling the earth, hearing the stories, breathing the night air heavy with history and possibility. Let these images soothe and sustain you, a balm for the restless heart. Sleep now, cradled in the arms of time itself. You are woven into the endless tapestry of life, a thread that is unique and essential. You are becoming, always becoming, in a story that has no end. The world turns slowly beneath an endless sky, each day unfolding like a delicate flower opening its petals to the gentle sun. In this vast expanse of time and space, the child moves quietly, no longer merely a learner, but beginning to carry the quiet weight of knowing. It is a subtle transformation, not one marked by grand declarations or sudden shifts, but by the gentle deepening of understanding that seeps in like water through stone. There is a kind of sacred rhythm to this growth, one that is felt more than seen, understood more than spoken. It is the rhythm of the earth itself, steady, patient, resilient. The child learns to move in harmony with this pulse, sensing its ebb and flow in the rise and fall of the seasons, the changing patterns of the stars, the shifting moods of wind and water. In the soft light of morning, the child watches the elders as they prepare the day's tasks. Their movements are fluid and sure, shaped by years of practice and quiet observation. The child sees how care is woven into every action, the careful selection of a stone tool, the gentle tending of a fire, the patient gathering of plants. These acts, repeated day after day, form the foundation of a life lived in balance with the world. But growth is not only about doing, it is also about being present, being attentive, being open to the vastness of experience that surrounds and fills us. The child learns this in moments of stillness, when the forest hushes at dusk, when the stars spill across the night sky like scattered jewels, when the fire crackles and pops, sending sparks up into the dark. Here, in these moments, the child feels the threads that bind all life together, the unseen connections that weave people, animals, plants, and earth into a single living tapestry. They begin to understand that to live well is to honor these connections, to move gently and respectfully, to listen deeply and respond with care. The stories told by the elders become a compass, guiding the child through the complexities of life. These stories speak not only of the past but of the future, offering lessons wrapped in metaphor and memory. They teach of courage and kindness, of balance and humility, of the delicate dance between strength and vulnerability. As the seasons change, the child finds themselves taking on new roles within the tribe. They carry water and firewood, help prepare food, watch over younger children. With each new task, their confidence grows not in boastful pride, but in quiet assurance born of experience and trust. They learn that strength is not loud or forceful, but steady and kind. Yet, even as they grow stronger, the child knows that they are part of something greater, that their journey is one thread among many, woven into the larger story of the tribe and the land. This awareness brings a deep humility, a recognition that life is fragile and precious, and that every action carries weight. In the quiet hours before sleep, the child often sits alone beneath the stars, letting the vastness of the sky fill their thoughts. They feel both small and infinite, a single breath within the endless flow of time. It is in these moments that the deepest lessons settle, not in words or deeds, but in the heart. Growth, they learn, is not a destination but a lifelong journey, a slow unfolding that carries us through light and shadow, joy and sorrow, certainty and mystery. It is a dance with time itself, a gentle surrender to the rhythms of life. So as you prepare to rest, let yourself be carried by this gentle flow. Imagine the child moving softly through their world, learning the quiet ways of the earth, feeling the pulse of life in every step. Let these thoughts soothe and steady you, a soft embrace for the soul. Sleep now, embraced by the timeless night. You are part of an ancient story, a living thread woven into the great tapestry of existence. You are becoming, always becoming, and the journey continues beyond the horizon. The dawn breaks slowly over the horizon, casting a gentle glow that seeps through the canopy like warm honey spilling across cool stone. The air is thick with the scent of earth and growing things, damp moss, fresh leaves, the faint promise of rain. The world stirs quietly, hesitantly, as if reluctant to wake from a deep and endless dream. In this fragile moment, the child steps softly through the underbrush, feeling the pulse of life beneath their feet and the whisper of wind through the trees. This morning is not like any other, yet it is like every other morning that has come before, a paradox that exists in the endless cycle of days and nights that shape a life. The child knows this without needing to understand, feeling instead a deep connection to the slow, steady rhythm that governs all things. It is a rhythm that cannot be rushed or tamed, only respected and followed with care. Each step is measured and deliberate. The child's senses are alive, drinking in the textures and sounds that form the language of this ancient land. They notice the subtle shift in the way the sunlight filters through leaves, the soft crunch of dried twigs beneath bare feet, the distant call of a bird echoing through the trees like a familiar song. These small details, often overlooked by hurried eyes, become the foundation of a growing wisdom and understanding that life is woven from countless tiny moments, each one significant in its own way. There is no hurry here. The child moves with the patience of the earth itself, embracing the slow unfolding of time as a gift rather than a burden. They have learned that to grow is to listen deeply, not just to others, but to the land, to the wind, to the shifting light and shadow that paint the world anew each day. The elders have taught them many things, though not always in words. A look, a touch, a quiet gesture, these carry meaning far beyond the spoken language. The child watches how the elders carry themselves, how they move through the world with a grace born of experience and respect. They see how every action is connected to the next, how patience and attentiveness create harmony in both work and play. In this world without modern distractions, the child's attention is a precious thing, honed and sharpened by necessity. They learn to observe without judgment, to notice without interference, to understand without the need to control. This way of being fosters a quiet strength, a resilience that is both gentle and enduring. As the day progresses, the child takes part in the daily rhythms of the tribe. They gather herbs with careful hands, knowing which leaves soothe and which sting. They help tend the fire, feeling the heat on their skin and the comforting crackle of burning wood. They watch the movements of animals, learning to read the signs that hint at hidden paths and secret places. Through these actions, the child becomes more deeply woven into the fabric of the tribe, their identity shaped not by words or titles, but by participation and presence. They understand that to belong is to contribute, to offer one's skills and care in service of the whole. When evening falls and the firelight dances across familiar faces, the child listens once more to the stories that rise like smoke into the night sky. These tales, rich with meaning and memory, connect them to ancestors long gone and to the mysteries that still await discovery. They hear of great journeys and small acts of kindness, of trials faced with courage and of lessons learned in silence. Each story is a thread in the vast tapestry of life, weaving together past and present, earth and sky, spirit and body. The child feels the weight and wonder of this inheritance, a treasure passed down not in gold or goods, but in words and wisdom, in shared moments and silent understandings. In the stillness that follows, the child often finds a quiet place beneath the stars to sit and reflect. Here, in the vastness of night, they sense the interconnectedness, all things their own breath mingling with the wind, their heartbeat echoing the pulse of the earth. They feel the fragile beauty of life and the enduring strength that comes from being part of a whole. Growth, they realize, is a journey without end. It is a slow unfolding of self and spirit, a dance with time and change that requires patience, humility, and courage. It is the gentle acceptance of both light and shadow, the willingness to walk through uncertainty and emerge with greater understanding. So, as your own breath slows and your body relaxes into rest, allow yourself to be carried by this ancient rhythm. Imagine the child moving softly through their world, learning not just to survive, but to belong to the land, to the tribe, to the vast and timeless story of life itself. Let this vision soothe and steady you, a quiet balm for the restless mind and weary heart. Sleep now, embraced by the endless night, held in the arms of time and memory. You are part of this story, a single thread woven into the great tapestry of existence. You are becoming, always becoming, and the journey stretches onward beyond the stars. The quiet hum of the early morning lingers softly in the air, a subtle melody carried on the breath of the wind as it weaves gently through the trees, brushing against leaves and grasses with the gentlest of touches. The world, still wrapped in the delicate veil of dawn, holds its breath in a moment suspended between night and day, between dream and waking. In this fragile pause, the child moves slowly, footsteps light and deliberate, absorbing the richness of a world that unfolds not with haste, but with patient, measured grace. Here, in this ancient land untouched by the relentless ticking of clocks or the hurried pace of modern life, time is not a rigid line but a flowing river, bending and winding, sometimes rushing, sometimes resting in quiet pools. The child has learned to follow this river with a kind of reverence, allowing its currents to guide their steps, teaching them that to grow is to move in harmony with the unseen rhythms that pulse beneath the surface of all things. Each day offers a new lesson, though not always one that is shouted or declared. Instead, lessons arrive softly carried on the rustle of leaves, whispered by the shifting shadows, reflected in the glint of sunlight on water. The child listens not just with ears, but with heart and soul, learning the language of the land and the tribe with a deep, abiding patience. There is a richness in this patient listening, a kind of knowing that cannot be hurried or forced. It is the knowledge of the subtle shifts in the air before a storm, the understanding of the quiet signs that signal the changing seasons, the gentle awareness of the cycles of life that weave through every living thing. These are the lessons that shape not only the child's skills, but their very being, grounding them in a world that is both wild and familiar. The elders move through the day with a calm certainty born of years spent walking this same earth, their hands skilled and steady, their eyes sharp yet gentle. The child watches and learns, absorbing the unspoken wisdom in each gesture and glance. They see how every action is connected, how patience and care create harmony in the daily tasks that sustain the tribe, gathering food, tending fires, crafting tools, sharing stories. In these simple acts, repeated again and again, the child finds a sense of belonging and purpose. They begin to understand that growth is not measured by grand achievements, but by the quiet accumulation of moments lived with intention and respect. They see that strength is not always loud or forceful, but often gentle and steady, a steady flame rather than a roaring blaze. As the sun sinks low and the firelight flickers, the tribe gathers once more around the warmth and glow, drawn together by the shared need for connection and story. The child listens as voices rise and fall, weaving tales that span generations, tales that speak of ancestors and spirits, of the land and the stars, of lessons learned through hardship and joy. These stories are a living thread that ties the past to the present, weaving the child more deeply into the fabric of their world. In the quiet moments that follow, when the fire burns low and the night deepens, the child often retreats to a place of solitude beneath the vast sky. Here, surrounded by the hush of the natural world, they sit with their thoughts, feeling the slow pulse of the earth beneath them, the steady rhythm of their own breath, the gentle stirring of stars above. In this space between worlds, They sense the vastness of life and the preciousness of their own small but vital place within it. Growth, they realize, is a journey without a final destination. It is a dance with time and change, a slow unfolding of self that embraces both light and shadow, certainty and mystery, strength and vulnerability. It requires patience, humility, and a willingness to walk forward even when the path is unclear. So as your own breath deepens and your body relaxes into rest, let yourself be carried by this gentle current of becoming. Imagine the child moving softly through their ancient world, learning not just to survive but to belong to the land, to the tribe, to the endless story of life itself. Let this vision calm and sustain you, a quiet embrace for the weary heart and restless mind. Sleep now, held in the tender arms of time and memory. You are a part of this story, a single, shining thread woven into the great tapestry of existence. You are becoming, always becoming, and the journey stretches onward beyond the horizon and into the infinite night. The gentle light of dawn seeps slowly into the world, touching the leaves and stones with a soft, golden glow that seems to awaken even the smallest and most hidden things. The air is cool and fresh, filled with the subtle sense of damp earth and growing plants, carrying whispers of the night's secrets as it stirs the branches and brushes across the skin. In this quiet, tender moment, the child moves softly through the familiar landscape, feeling each texture beneath bare feet, listening deeply to the chorus of nature that surrounds them, a symphony of sounds both ancient and immediate. Time here flows like a slow river, winding through days and seasons with neither urgency nor pause, but with a patient, steady rhythm that matches the heartbeat of the earth itself. The child has come to understand this rhythm not as a concept to be grasped, but as a living pulse to be felt and followed, a current that carries them gently forward through the endless unfolding of life. Every step is a lesson, every breath a teacher. The child watches the subtle changes in light as dawn becomes day, notices the shifting patterns of clouds overhead, the delicate dance of insects flitting among flowers, the distant call of animals stirring in the underbrush. These small details, seemingly insignificant to the hurried eye, are threads in the vast tapestry of understanding that the child weaves with quiet care. There is a profound richness in this kind of learning, one that is born of attentiveness and patience rather than speed or spectacle. It is the knowledge held in the bend of a branch, the pattern of moss on a stone, the taste of wild berries at their peak. It is the wisdom gained through countless repeated acts of gathering, tending, and watching each one a small step on the path toward a deeper connection with the world. The elders' movements throughout the day speak volumes without words. The child observes the fluid grace of their hands, the calm steadiness of their breath, the way their eyes seem to see not just objects, but the relationships between them. These silent lessons, absorbed through imitation and reflection, shape the child's growing sense of self and place. In the act of gathering firewood, of preparing food, of crafting tools from stone and wood, the child feels the intertwining of action and meaning. Each task is an opportunity to participate in the sustaining of life, to contribute to the well-being of the tribe, and to honor the earth that provides. There is no rush, no need to prove oneself, only the steady accumulation of skill and understanding, building a foundation that will carry through a lifetime. As evening falls and the fire's glow spills warmth into the cool night, the tribe gathers in a circle of shared stories and quiet companionship. The child listens with wide eyes and an open heart, absorbing the tales that rise like smoke stories of ancestors who walked these lands long before, of spirits that dwell in rivers and trees, of lessons learned in moments of joy and trial. These stories are not merely entertainment, they are the living memory of the people, a sacred thread linking past, present, and future. In the stillness after the stories, the child often finds a solitary spot beneath the endless sky, where the stars shine like countless watching eyes. Here, in the quiet dark, they feel the vastness of the universe and their own small but significant place within it. The rhythm of their breath, the steady beat of their heart, the whisper of the wind through the grass all remind them that life is a delicate balance of strength and vulnerability, growth and surrender. To grow, the child learns, is to embrace this balance, to move forward with courage and humility, to accept uncertainty as a companion rather than a foe, to find peace in the unfolding journey rather than any fixed destination. Growth is a slow and patient becoming, a dance with the endless cycles of change that shape the world and the self. So, as your own breath deepens and your body relaxes into rest, imagine yourself moving gently alongside that child, walking softly through a world that teaches not by rushing but by being, that speaks in whispers rather than shouts. Let this vision carry you into calm and comfort, a quiet refuge for your mind and spirit. Sleep now, cradled in the arms of time and memory, part of a story that stretches beyond the horizons of the known and into the boundless night. You are a thread woven into the great tapestry of life, unique, essential, and always becoming. The slow light of dawn stretches gently across the horizon, painting the sky with hues of soft pink and pale gold, as if the world itself is sighing awake from a deep, endless sleep. The air is cool and fragrant with the scent of damp earth and new growth, carrying with it the quiet promise of a day yet to unfold. In this serene moment, the child moves with a tenderness born of familiarity and curiosity, stepping lightly over moss-covered stones, pausing to touch the smooth bark of an ancient tree, listening to the subtle symphony of life that fills the air. Here, in this timeless landscape, untouched by the clamor of modern life, time flows not as a rigid march but as a gentle current, winding through days and seasons with a patient, unhurried grace. The child has learned to follow this current, to move in harmony with its ebb and flow, understanding that growth is not a race to be won, but a slow dance with the rhythms of the earth and sky. Every breath taken, every step made, is part of a larger tapestry of experience, woven from countless small moments that, taken together, shape the very essence of being. The child's senses are keen and alive, drinking in the delicate changes of light and shadow, the faint rustle of leaves stirred by the breeze, the distant call of a bird soaring high above the treetops. These subtle details, unnoticed by many, become the building blocks of a deep, unspoken wisdom and knowledge that is felt as much as it is seen or heard. There is a richness in this way of learning, a profound depth born of attentiveness and patience. It is the understanding that the world's stories are told not only in words, but in the language of the land, the curve of a river, the pattern of moss on a stone, the cycle of blooming flowers. These stories are living, breathing things, passed down through generations, not on pages, but in moments of shared experience and quiet reflection. The elders move through their days with a grace that speaks of years that spent listening to these stories, their hands steady and sure, their eyes both sharp and gentle. The child watches closely, absorbing the subtle lessons woven into every gesture, the careful tending of the fire, the skilled crafting of tools, the patient gathering of herbs and berries. These acts are not chores but sacred rituals, threads in the fabric that holds the tribe together and connects them to the earth beneath their feet. In participating in these daily rhythms, the child begins to feel a sense of belonging that goes beyond words. They understand that to be part of this world is to carry responsibility not as a burden, but as a gift. Each task, each moment of care, contributes to the well-being of the whole, weaving the individual into the larger tapestry of life. As twilight descends and the fire's glow flickers warmly in the growing darkness, the tribe gathers once more to share stories, tales rich with meaning, humor, and heart-touch, passed down through countless nights and generations. The child listens intently, their imagination stirred by visions of ancestors and spirits, of great journeys and quiet acts of kindness. These stories are more than entertainment, they are the living memory of a people, a sacred trust handed down with love and reverence. In the hush that follows, the child often finds solace beneath a vast sky glittering with stars, where the quiet pulse of the earth beneath them and the steady rhythm of their own breath become a comforting lullaby. Here, in the silence of night, they feel the delicate balance of life, its fragility and its strength, its mystery and its clarity. Growth, they come to know, is not a destination but an ever unfolding journey, a slow and patient becoming that embraces light and shadow, joy and sorrow, certainty and doubt. It is the courage to walk forward without knowing the path, the humility to learn from every step, the grace to accept change as a constant companion. So as your body softens and your mind drifts toward rest, let yourself be carried on this gentle current of becoming. Imagine yourself walking alongside that child, moving softly through a world alive with lessons whispered by wind and water, light and shadow. Let these images soothe your spirit and steady your heart, a quiet refuge for the soul. Sleep now, cradled in the embrace of time and memory, woven into a story that stretches beyond the stars and into the infinite night. You are a vital thread in this great tapestry of existence, unique, precious, and forever becoming. The first faint glow of morning filters softly through the thick canopy, casting a delicate lattice of light and shadow across the forest floor, a quiet invitation to begin anew. The air, still cool and tinged with the lingering scent of night's embrace, holds a promise silent, unspoken, yet deeply felt that the day ahead is full of possibility and discovery. Within this world untouched by the rush and roar of modern life, the child moves with a careful grace, stepping lightly over roots and rocks, hands brushing gently against the rough bark of ancient trees, breathing in the rich symphony of scents and sounds that fill the stillness. This world is governed by rhythms that are slow and steady, rhythms that unfold not by the ticking of clocks but by the subtle dance of seasons. The whispered signals of weather, the quiet migrations of animals, and the steady growth of plants. The child, growing more attuned with each passing day, learns to move in harmony with these rhythms, understanding that life is less about control and more about adaptation and flow. Every moment offers lessons, though they often arrive wrapped in subtlety rather than fanfare. The child notices the way the morning mist lingers in the hollows, how the sunlight shifts and changes as it filters through the branches, the delicate hum of insects stirring to life. These details become the vocabulary of a deeper understanding, a language spoken by the land itself, inviting the child to listen, to observe, to become part of a story far larger than themselves. There is a deep richness in this kind of learning, one that grows not from hurried acquisition but from patient presence. It is the wisdom gained from countless repetitions of simple acts, the careful gathering of herbs, the tending of fires, the crafting of tools with hands both strong and gentle. The child observes how each action connects to the next, how patience and care weave a seamless fabric of life and survival. The elders, with their quiet strength and practiced skill, serve as living bridges to the past and guides for the future. Their every movement carries intention and respect. Their eyes hold the knowledge of years, lived closely with the land. The child watches, absorbing these unspoken teachings like a sponge, learning that mastery is not a destination, but a lifelong journey of observation and refinement. In the course of daily life, the child begins to step into roles that once seemed distant, helping prepare food, watching younger siblings, gathering materials for shelter and warmth. With each new responsibility, a sense of confidence slowly blooms. Not the brash pride of youth, but a quiet assurance that comes from knowing one's place within the larger whole. Strength, the child realizes, is found not only in physical power but in patience, kindness, and resilience. As twilight softens the sky and the firelight flickers to life, the tribe gathers in familiar circles of warmth and shared presence. The child listens to stories that rise like smoke, ancient tales woven with threads of memory, myth, and wisdom. These narratives bind the community together, preserving the past while inspiring the future. Each story carries lessons of courage and compassion, of loss and renewal, of the delicate balance between humanity and nature. In the quiet that follows, when fire embers glow low and the night deepens, the child retreats to a place of solitude beneath the star-studded sky. Here, embraced by the vastness of the cosmos and the steady heartbeat of the earth, they reflect on the interconnectedness of all things, their own breath mingling with the breeze, their heartbeat echoing the pulse of life itself. Growth, the child understands, is a journey without end, a slow unfolding of spirit and self that embraces uncertainty and change with open arms. It is a dance with time and transformation, requiring patience, courage, and humility. It is the gentle acceptance that to become is to move forward even when the path is unseen. So as your own breath slows and your body softens, let yourself be carried by this ancient rhythm. Imagine yourself walking beside the child through forests and fields, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath your feet, hearing the stories carried on the wind. Let this vision calm and comfort you, a quiet sanctuary for your mind and heart. Sleep now, wrapped in the embrace of time and memory, woven into a story that stretches beyond the stars and into the infinite night. You are a thread in this vast tapestry of life, unique, essential, and forever becoming. The world stirs gently as dawn's flight spills over the horizon, casting a warm, golden hue that slowly fills the sky and spills softly onto the earth below. The air is cool and heavy with the scent of moss and wildflowers, carrying with it the quiet promise of new beginnings. In this tranquil moment, the child moves carefully through the forest, feet barely disturbing the soft carpet of leaves and needles that cushions their every step. Their senses drink in the subtle symphony of sounds, the distant call of a bird waking, the gentle rustle of leaves stirred by a whispering breeze, the faint drip of dew from branch to earth. Here, in this timeless landscape, time does not rush. It flows like a slow, winding river, gentle and deliberate, carrying the child forward on a current that has moved through countless generations. The child has learned to feel this current beneath their feet, to listen to its subtle guidance, and to move with its ebb and flow rather than against it. This is a dance as old as the earth itself, a rhythm not imposed but discovered through patient observation and quiet acceptance. Every moment is a teacher, every breath a lesson in presence and patience. The child observes the changing patterns of light as the sun climbs higher, notes the shifting positions of clouds that promise rain or fair weather, listens to the chorus of insects and animals that form the vibrant pulse of life all around. These small, often overlooked details form the threads of a deep understanding, a language spoken not in words, but in the movements and signs of the natural world. There is a profound richness in learning through this kind of attentive listening, a wisdom born from slow and deliberate engagement rather than hurried accumulation. It is the knowledge held in the delicate unfolding of a flower, the subtle signs of animal tracks on soft earth, the cyclical return of seasons marked by the blooming of certain plants or the migration of birds. These lessons are passed down not from book to hand, but from moment to moment, generation to generation, woven into the fabric of everyday life. The elders embody this wisdom, their every movement a testament to years spent in close communion with the land. The child watches with wide eyes and an eager heart as the elders move, with quiet purpose, gathering herbs with practiced hands, tending the fire with reverence, crafting tools shaped by both strength and care. Each action is a story in itself, a thread in the vast tapestry that binds the tribe to the earth and to one another. In joining these daily rituals, the child finds a growing sense of belonging, an unspoken understanding of their role within the delicate balance of the community. They learn that strength is not measured by loud declarations or grand feats, but by the gentle steadiness of care, the quiet resilience that sustains life through hardship and joy alike. As twilight settles and the fire's warm glow beckons the tribe to gather, the child listens intently to the stories shared around the flames. These stories are woven from memory and myth, humor and sorrow, teaching and inspiration. They speak of ancestors who walk the same paths, of spirits who watch from the trees and stars, of lessons etched in experience and heart. Each tale is a link in the unbroken chain of life, connecting past to present and future in a living circle of meaning. In the silence that follows, the child often seeks refuge beneath a vast canopy of stars, where the night sky stretches endlessly and the quiet pulse of the earth thrums beneath their feet. Here, in the cool embrace of darkness, they reflect on the interconnectedness of all things, their breath mingling with the breeze, their heartbeat resonating with the rhythm of the land. It is in this sacred space that they feel both small and infinite, fragile and strong, lost and found all at once. Growth, they come to understand, is not a straight path, but a winding journey, one that requires patience, humility, and courage. It is a slow unfolding of self and spirit, a dance with change and mystery that asks for trust in the unseen and the unknown. It is the willingness to move forward even when the way is unclear, to embrace both light and shadow with equal grace. So as your own breath deepens and your body sinks into rest, allow yourself to be carried by this ancient rhythm of becoming. Imagine yourself walking beside the child through forest and field, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath your feet and hearing the stories whispered by wind and water. Let this vision soothe your soul and steady your heart, a quiet sanctuary for your weary mind. Sleep now, wrapped in the gentle arms of time and memory, woven into a story that stretches beyond the stars and into the boundless night. You are a vital thread in this great tapestry of existence, unique, cherished, and forever becoming. The pale light of dawn stretches slowly across the horizon, painting the sky with soft pastels that gently push away the last shadows of night. The air is crisp and filled with the subtle sense of damp earth and blossoming flora, carrying whispers of the night's secrets as it stirs softly through the trees. In this quiet, tender hour, the child moves carefully through the familiar landscape, feet barely disturbing the soft bed of leaves and moss beneath them. Every sound and sight is a note in the symphony of life that fills this timeless world, a world where time flows like a gentle river, winding and turning without haste or pressure. Here, life unfolds not according to clocks or schedules, but in harmony with the natural rhythms of the earth, sky, and seasons. The child has learned to feel these rhythms deep within, to move with their steady pulse rather than against it. This is a dance as ancient as the land itself, a slow and patient becoming that stretches across generations, connecting past and future in a continuous flow. Each moment offers its own quiet lesson. The child notices the subtle shifts of light as dawn grows into day, the patterns of clouds drifting lazily overhead, the chorus of birdsong that rises and falls like a living melody. These small details, often overlooked by hurried eyes, become the threads of a profound understanding, a language spoken not in words but in sensations, patterns, and the silent wisdom of the natural world. There is a deep richness in this way of learning, a knowledge born of attentiveness and patient observation. It is the understanding found in the curve of a riverbank, the texture of bark under fingertips, the slow unfolding of a flower's petals in the morning sun. These are stories told not through pages or spoken tales, but through experience and presence passed down from one generation to the next in an unbroken chain of living memory. The elders embody this wisdom, moving with practiced grace and quiet confidence. Their hands are steady and skilled, their eyes both watchful and kind. The child watches intently, absorbing lessons beyond words, the careful gathering of plants for food and medicine, the tending of fires that warm and protect, the crafting of tools that shape the tribe's survival. Each action is a thread woven into the intricate tapestry that binds the community to the land and to one another. Through participation in these daily rituals, the child finds a growing sense of belonging and responsibility. They come to understand that strength lies not in loud declarations or grand gestures, but in steady care, resilience, and patience. To live well is to honor the delicate balance that sustains life between humans and nature, between self and community. As dusk falls and the fire's glow flickers against the darkening sky, the tribe gathers close, sharing stories that weave memory, myth, and meaning. The child listens with rapt attention to tales of ancestors who roamed these lands, of spirits who dwell in rivers and trees, of lessons learned through both joy and hardship. These stories are the living heart of the tribe, a sacred inheritance that binds them across time. In the quiet moments that follow, the child often retreats beneath the vast, star-studded sky. There, in the cool embrace of night, they feel the pulse of the earth beneath them, the steady rhythm of their own breath, the vastness of the cosmos stretching endlessly above. In this space between worlds, they sense their place both small and infinite, fragile and enduring. Growth, the child understands, is not a straight path but a winding journey filled with light and shadow, certainty and mystery. It is a dance with time itself, requiring patience, humility, and courage. It is the gentle acceptance of the unknown, the willingness to keep moving forward without knowing the destination. So, as your body relaxes and your mind drifts toward rest, let yourself be carried by this ancient rhythm. Imagine yourself walking softly beside the child through forests and fields, feeling the earth's pulse beneath your feet, hearing the stories whispered on the wind. Let this vision soothe your spirit and calm your heart, a quiet refuge for the restless mind. Sleep now, wrapped in the gentle arms of time and memory, woven into a story that stretches beyond the stars and into the boundless night. You are a vital thread in this vast tapestry of life, unique, cherished, and forever becoming. The first light of morning breaks softly over the horizon, spilling a delicate wash of warm hues across the sky, like a gentle brushstroke painting the canvas of a new day. The air is crisp and fragrant, carrying the subtle scent of earth awakening after a long night's rest. In this quiet, sacred moment, the child moves slowly and deliberately through the ancient landscape, each step a careful communion with the soil beneath, each breath a deep drink of the cool, fresh air. In this world untouched by the relentless ticking of clocks or the hurried pace of modern life, time flows like a slow, winding river, moving steadily and with purpose, but without urgency. The child has come to know this rhythm intimately, learning to move in harmony with its gentle current rather than against it. This is a dance as old as the earth itself, a slow unfolding that carries life forward through endless cycles of light and dark, growth and rest, birth and decay. Every moment is rich with meaning, every sensation a lesson waiting to be uncovered. The child notices the way the morning light filters through leaves, casting dancing patterns on the forest floor. The faint murmur of a nearby stream weaving its way through the trees, the delicate flutter of wings as a bird rises into the soft sky. These details, so easily overlooked in the rush of daily life, become the threads of a deep and lasting understanding, a language spoken in shadows and light, in textures and sounds, in the quiet movements of the natural world. There is a profound depth to learning in this way, a wisdom born not from hurried accumulation of facts, but from patient attention and gentle observation. It is a knowledge found in the curve of a river's bend, the texture of bark worn smooth by time, the slow unfurling of a flower's petals in the warming sun. These are the stories told not in words, but in experience and presence, passed down through countless generations as living memory woven into the fabric of everyday life. The elders move through their days with quiet strength and grace, their every action carrying the weight of years spent in close communion with the land. The child watches closely, absorbing lessons beyond words, the careful gathering of plants for healing and sustenance, the tending of fires that provide warmth and protection, the shaping of tools honed by skill and care. Each act is a thread in the rich tapestry that binds the tribe to the earth and to one another, a sacred bond woven through shared experience and respect. Through participation in these daily rituals, the child finds a growing sense of belonging and purpose. They learn that true strength lies not in loud declarations or grand gestures, but in steady care, resilience, and patience. To live well is to honor the delicate balance that sustains life between humans and nature, between self and community. As evening falls and the fire's glow casts flickering shadows against the gathering darkness, the tribe comes together in a circle of warmth and shared stories. The child listens with rapt attention to tales spun from memory and myth, stories of ancestors who once roamed these lands, of spirits that dwell in the rivers and trees, of lessons learned through joy and hardship alike. These narratives are the living heart of the tribe, a sacred inheritance that threads together past, present, and future in a never-ending circle. In the silence that follows, the child often seeks solace beneath the vast canopy of stars, where the night sky stretches endlessly and the quiet pulse of the earth thrums beneath their feet. Here, embraced by the stillness and the vastness, they reflect on the interconnectedness of all things, their own breath mingling with the breeze, their heartbeat echoing the steady rhythm of life itself. In this sacred space, they feel both small and infinite, fragile and strong, lost and found all at once. Growth, the child comes to understand, is not a straight path, but a winding journey filled with light and shadow, certainty and mystery. It is a slow unfolding of spirit and self that embraces change and uncertainty with open arms. It is the courage to move forward even when the way is not clear, the humility to learn from every step, the grace to accept both joy and sorrow as teachers on the path. So as your own breath deepens and your body softens into rest, allow yourself to be carried on this gentle current of becoming. Imagine yourself walking softly alongside the child through forests and fields, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath your feet, hearing the stories whispered on the wind. Let this vision calm and comfort you, a quiet refuge for your restless mind and weary heart. Sleep now, wrapped in the tender embrace of time and memory, woven into a story that stretches beyond the stars and into the infinite night. You are a vital thread in this vast tapestry of existence, unique, cherished, and forever becoming. The soft glow of dawn gently filters through the canopy, spreading a delicate veil of light that touches the earth with a tender warmth, as if awakening the very soul of the ancient forest. The air is cool and fragrant, carrying whispers of night's lingering mysteries and the faint, sweet scent of blooming wildflowers. In this sacred moment, the child moves quietly, their footsteps light upon the mossy ground, feeling the heartbeat of the earth beneath their feet and the gentle stirrings of life all around. Time here flows like a slow, meandering river, winding its way through the endless cycles of day and night, season and season, weaving the past and future into the ever-present now. The child has learned to flow with this river, moving with its patient currents rather than struggling against its gentle pull. This rhythm is not dictated by clocks or calendars, but by the subtle signs of the natural world, the rising and setting of the sun, the shifting of the wind, the bloom and fade of countless plants. Every moment is rich with lessons, though they often come wrapped in silence and subtlety. The child watches the way the sunlight dances through the leaves, casting shifting patterns that play across the forest floor, listens to the soft murmur of a nearby stream weaving its way among stones, notes the delicate flutter of a bird's wings as it takes flight into the vast sky. These seemingly small details are the vocabulary of a deeper wisdom, a language spoken not with words, but with feeling and presence, with attentive watching and patient waiting. There is a profound beauty in this kind of learning, one born from gentle observation and quiet immersion. It is the knowledge found in the curve of a river, the rough texture of bark worn smooth by time, the slow unfolding of a flower's petals in the morning sun. These stories are passed down not in books or spoken tales, but through lived experience and shared moments woven into the fabric of community and memory. The elders move with quiet strength and grace, their every gesture carrying the weight of years lived in close harmony with the land. The child watches intently, absorbing lessons beyond words. The careful gathering of healing herbs, the tending of fires that warm and protect, the shaping of tools with hands skilled by time and care. Each action is a thread in the vast tapestry that binds the tribe to the earth and to one another, a sacred bond of respect and shared life. As the child participates in these daily rhythms, a sense of belonging and purpose grows within them. They come to understand that strength is not found in loud declarations or fleeting displays, but in steady care, resilience, and patience. To live well is to honor the delicate balance that sustains life between humans and nature, between self and community. When twilight falls and the fire's warm glow beckons the tribe to gather, the child listens with rapt attention to stories woven from memory and myth, tales of ancestors who walked these lands long ago, of spirits that dwell in rivers and trees, of lessons learned through joy and sorrow alike. These narratives are the living heart of the tribe, a sacred inheritance that binds past, present, and future in a never-ending circle. In the stillness that follows, the child often seeks refuge beneath a vast, star-studded sky, where the night stretches endlessly and the quiet pulse of the earth thrums beneath their feet. Here, embraced by the vastness and the silence, they reflect on the interconnectedness of all things, their breath mingling with the breeze, their heartbeat echoing the slow, steady rhythm of life itself. In this sacred space, they feel both small and infinite, fragile and strong, lost and found all at once. Growth, the child comes to understand, is not a linear path but a winding journey filled with light and shadow, certainty and mystery. It is a slow unfolding of spirit and self that embraces change and uncertainty with open arms. It is the courage to move forward even when the way is not clear, the humility to learn from every step, the grace to accept both joy and sorrow as teachers on the path. So, as your own breath deepens and your body softens into rest, allow yourself to be carried on this gentle current of becoming. Imagine yourself walking softly alongside the child through forests and fields, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath your feet, hearing the stories whispered on the wind. Let this vision calm and comfort you, a quiet refuge for your restless mind and weary heart. Sleep now, wrapped in the tender embrace of time and memory, woven into a story that stretches beyond the stars and into the infinite night. You are a vital thread in this vast tapestry of existence, unique, cherished, and forever becoming. The soft blush of dawn spreads slowly across the sky, casting a gentle, rosy glow over the world as it awakens from the quiet depths of night. The air is cool and fragrant with the fresh scent of dew, kissed leaves, and blooming wildflowers, carrying a subtle promise of new beginnings and endless possibilities. In this sacred hour, the child moves with careful reverence through the familiar landscape, their footsteps light upon the soft earth, feeling the steady heartbeat of the land beneath them and the gentle breath of life all around. Time here is not a measured, hurried march but a flowing river that winds gracefully through days and seasons, weaving a seamless tapestry of moments that blend past, present, and future into an eternal now. The child has come to know this rhythm deeply, learning to move with its gentle current rather than against it. This ancient dance, as old as the earth itself, teaches that life is not about rushing to a destination, but about embracing the slow unfolding of becoming. Every moment is imbued with meaning, every sensation a quiet lesson waiting to be discovered. The child watches how the sunlight filters through the canopy, casting shifting patterns that play across the forest floor, listens to the soothing murmur of a nearby stream as it weaves its way among the stones, notices the delicate flutter of a bird's wings as it takes flight into the wide sky. These subtle details, so easily missed in the rush of modern life, form the language of a deeper wisdom, a language spoken not with words but with presence, attention, and a heart open to wonder. There is a profound richness in learning through this kind of gentle observation, a knowledge that grows not from hurried accumulation but from patient engagement. It is the understanding found in the curve of a river's bend, the rough texture of bark smoothed by time, the slow unfurling of a flower's petals as the sun rises higher. These stories are not written in books or spoken aloud, but are woven into the fabric of lived experience and passed down through generations like precious heirlooms. The elders move with quiet grace and strength, their every gesture steeped in the wisdom of years spent in close communion with the land. The child watches with wide eyes and an eager heart, absorbing lessons beyond words, the careful gathering of medicinal herbs, the tending of fires that provide warmth and safety, the crafting of tools honed by skill and patience. Each action is a thread in the vast tapestry that binds the tribe to the earth and to one another, a sacred bond woven through respect and shared life. As the child takes part in these daily rituals, a deep sense of belonging and purpose grows within them. They learn that true strength is not found in loud displays or fleeting triumphs, but in steady care, resilience, and the quiet patience that sustains life through hardship and joy alike. To live well is to honor the delicate balance that holds all things together between humans and nature, between self and community. When twilight descends and the fire's warm glow beckons the tribe to gather, the child listens attentively to stories spun from memory and myth, tales of ancestors who once roamed these lands, of spirits who dwell in rivers and trees, of lessons learned through both sorrow and joy. These narratives are the living heart of the tribe, a sacred inheritance that threads past, present, and future in an unbroken circle. In the stillness that follows, the child often seeks refuge beneath a vast sky studded with stars, where the night stretches endlessly, and the quiet pulse of the earth hums beneath their feet. Here, embraced by the vastness and silence, they reflect on the interconnectedness of all things, their breath mingling with the breeze, their heartbeat echoing the slow, steady rhythm of life itself. In this sacred space, they feel both small and infinite, fragile and strong, lost and found all at once. Growth, the child understands, is not a straight path, but a winding journey filled with light and shadow, certainty and mystery. It is a slow unfolding of spirit and self that embraces change and uncertainty with open arms. It is the courage to move forward even when the way is not clear, the humility to learn from every step, the grace to accept both joy and sorrow as teachers on the path. So as your breath deepens and your body softens into rest, allow yourself to be carried on this ancient current of becoming. Imagine yourself walking gently alongside the child through forests and fields, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath your feet, hearing the stories whispered on the wind. Let this vision soothe your spirit and calm your heart, a quiet sanctuary for your restless mind and weary soul. Sleep now, wrapped in the tender embrace of time and memory, woven into a story that stretches beyond the stars and into the infinite night. You are a vital thread in this vast tapestry of existence, unique, cherished, and forever becoming. The soft hues of dawn gently spill across the horizon, casting a tender light that slowly awakens the world from its night's rest. The air is cool and filled with the faint fragrance of dew, kissed leaves and blossoming wildflowers, carrying with it the subtle promise of a new beginning. In this quiet, sacred moment, the child moves softly through the familiar forest, their footsteps barely disturbing the gentle carpet of moss and fallen leaves beneath them. They pause often, touching the rough bark of an ancient tree, listening to the delicate rustle of branches stirred by the breeze, feeling the slow, steady heartbeat of the earth beneath their feet. Time here is not measured by the ticking of clocks or the rush of schedules, but flows like a slow, winding river that meanders through the endless cycles of day and night, season and season, weaving past, present, and future into a seamless tapestry. The child has learned to move with this river, flowing with its patient current instead of struggling against it. This rhythm is as old as the earth itself, a gentle dance of becoming that carries life forward through cycles of growth, rest, and renewal. Each moment holds its own quiet lesson, each sensation a thread in the rich fabric of understanding. The child watches as the morning light filters through the canopy, casting shifting patterns of light and shadow across the forest floor. They listen to the soft murmur of a nearby stream, weaving its way among stones. Note the flutter of a bird's wings as it rises into the vast sky. These subtle details, easily missed in the hurried pace of modern life, are the language of a deeper wisdom, a language spoken not in words but in presence, attention, and reverence for the world. There is a profound beauty in this kind of learning, a wisdom born from patient observation and quiet immersion rather than rushed acquisition. It is the understanding found in the curve of a river's bend, the texture of bark worn smooth by time, the slow unfurling of petals as a flower greets the sun. These stories are not written in books or spoken aloud, but are woven into the fabric of lived experience and passed down through generations like precious heirlooms. The elders move with quiet strength and grace, their every gesture steeped in the wisdom of years spent in close communion with the land. The child watches closely, absorbing lessons beyond words, the careful gathering of healing herbs, the tending of fires that provide warmth and protection, the crafting of tools honed by skill and patience. Each action is a thread in the vast tapestry that binds the tribe to the earth and to one another, a sacred bond woven through respect and shared life. As the child participates in these daily rituals, a deep sense of belonging and purpose grows within them. They learn that true strength lies not in loud displays or fleeting triumphs, but in steady care, resilience, and the quiet patience that sustains life through hardship and joy alike. To live well is to honor the delicate balance that holds all things together between humans and nature, between self and community. When twilight descends and the fire's warm glow beckons the tribe to gather, the child listens with rapt attention to stories woven from memory and myth, tales of ancestors who once roamed these lands, of spirits who dwell in rivers and trees, of lessons learned through both sorrow and joy. These narratives are the living heart of the tribe, a sacred inheritance that threads past, present, and future in an unbroken circle. In the stillness that follows, the child often seeks refuge beneath a vast sky studded with stars, where the night stretches endlessly and the quiet pulse of the earth hums beneath their feet. Here, embraced by the vastness and silence, they reflect on the interconnectedness of all things, their breath mingling with the breeze, their heartbeat echoing the slow, steady rhythm of life itself. In this sacred space, they feel both small and infinite, fragile and strong, lost and found all at once. Growth, the child understands, is not a straight path, but a winding journey filled with light and shadow, certainty and mystery. It is a slow unfolding of spirit and self that embraces change and uncertainty with open arms. It is the courage to move forward even when the way is not clear, the humility to learn from every step, the grace to accept both joy and sorrow as teachers on the path. So as your breath deepens and your body softens into rest, allow yourself to be carried on this ancient current of becoming. Imagine yourself walking gently alongside the child through forests and fields, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath your feet, hearing the stories whispered on the wind. Let this vision soothe your spirit and calm your heart, a quiet sanctuary for your restless mind and weary soul. Sleep now, wrapped in the tender embrace of time and memory, woven into a story that stretches beyond the stars and into the infinite night. You are a vital thread in this vast tapestry of existence, unique, cherished, and forever becoming. The early morning light begins to creep softly across the horizon, casting a pale golden glow that gently touches every leaf, every blade of grass, every stone that lies quiet beneath the vast expanse of awakening sky. The air is fresh and cool, filled with the subtle aromas of damp earth and wild blossoms that seem to hold the secrets of 1,000 dawns before this one. The child moves slowly, almost reverently, through this sacred space, feet barely pressing into the soft moss and leaf litter that cushion the forest floor. With each step, there is a deliberate mindfulness, an attuned awareness to the world that breathes and pulses all around, a rhythm ancient and enduring, yet ever new with each passing day. In this timeless place, time itself flows differently. It is not measured by the relentless ticking of clocks or the hurried demands of schedules, but by the steady and patient currents of nature's endless cycle. The child has learned to flow with this current, to move with the gentle pulse of the earth rather than against it. This is a dance as old as the very soil beneath their feet, a slow and tender unfolding that stretches beyond the reach of the present moment, connecting them to generations long past and those yet to come. Every breath taken, every sound heard, every flicker of movement in the shadows becomes a thread woven into a rich tapestry of understanding. The child watches the way the dawn light dances through the canopy, casting ever-shifting patterns of shade and illumination across the forest floor. They listen to the soft murmur of a nearby stream, its waters weaving quietly through mossy stones, and the flutter of wings as a bird rises and soars toward the awakening sky. These subtle, often overlooked details form a silent language, a language not spoken with words, but felt deeply in the heart and soul, a language taught through patient observation and gentle presence. There is an extraordinary depth to this way of learning, a wisdom born from slow and careful engagement, rather than hurried accumulation. It is the knowledge found in the curving bend of a river, the roughened texture of bark worn smooth over years, the gradual opening of a flower's petals to the warming light. These lessons are not inscribed on pages nor spoken aloud in grand tales, but are lived and shared, passed down quietly through generations as living memory, as an inheritance of spirit and place. The elders embody this wisdom fully. Their movements are deliberate and graceful, their eyes sharp yet kind, reflecting years of communion with the land and all its mysteries. The child watches and absorbs, learning from the careful gathering of herbs for healing, the tending of fires that offer warmth and protection, the crafting of tools shaped by practiced hands. Each gesture is a thread in the fabric that binds the tribe not only to the earth, but also to each other, a sacred bond of respect, care, and shared existence. Through these daily rituals, the child begins to feel the blossoming of a profound belonging and responsibility. Strength, they learn, is not found in loud declarations or fleeting triumphs, but in steady care, resilience, and the quiet patience that sustains life through both hardship and joy. To live well is to honor the fragile balance that holds together the natural world and human community alike. As twilight falls and the fire's flickering glow calls the tribe to gather, the child listens intently to stories woven from memory and myth. These tales speak of ancestors who once roamed these lands, of spirits dwelling in rivers, trees, and stones, of lessons born from sorrow and joy alike. The stories are a living heart beating through time, a sacred thread that stitches together past, present, and future into an unbroken circle. In the peaceful stillness that follows, the child often seeks refuge beneath the vast, star-studded sky, where the night stretches endlessly and the earth's quiet pulse hums beneath their feet. Here, embraced by the infinite cosmos and the soft whisper of the night wind, they reflect on the intricate web of life, breath mingling with breeze, heartbeat echoing the earth's slow, steady rhythm. In this sacred space, they feel both infinitesimally small and expansively vast, fragile yet enduring, lost and found all at once. Growth, the child understands, is not a straight path but a winding journey filled with light and shadow, certainty and mystery. It is a slow unfolding of spirit and self, a dance with change and uncertainty that asks for courage, humility, and grace. It is the willingness to move forward even when the way is unseen, the openness to learn from every step, and the acceptance of both joy and sorrow as teachers on the journey. So as your breath deepens and your body softens into rest, allow yourself to be carried gently on this ancient current of becoming. Imagine walking softly beside the child through the forests and fields, feeling the earth's pulse beneath your feet, hearing the stories whispered on the wind. Let this vision soothe your spirit and calm your heart, a quiet sanctuary for your restless mind and weary soul. Sleep now, wrapped in the tender embrace of time and memory, woven into a story stretching beyond the stars and into the infinite night. You are a vital thread in this vast tapestry of existence, unique, cherished, and forever becoming. The gentle light of dawn slowly unfurls across the horizon, spreading soft hues of pink and gold that gently caress the landscape awake. The air is cool and fragrant, carrying the delicate scents of earth and blooming flowers, mingling with the quiet whispers of morning breezes that move softly through the trees. In this peaceful, sacred moment, the child steps lightly along the forest path, feet barely pressing against the mossy floor, sensing the slow, steady heartbeat of the land beneath. Each breath draws in the subtle symphony of life, the distant call of birds greeting the new day, the rustle of leaves stirred by unseen creatures, the faint trickle of water over smooth stones nearby. Time here does not rush or demand. It flows with the ease and patience of a river weaving through the ages, a steady current that carries all life forward in a dance without end. The child has learned to move in harmony with this flow, to listen deeply to the subtle rhythms that govern the natural world, and to find peace in the slow unfolding of each moment. This ancient dance connects them, not only to the earth beneath their feet, but to countless generations who have walked these same paths before. Every small detail holds meaning. The child watches the shifting patterns of light as the sun climbs higher, notes the gentle changes in the wind's direction, listens to the chorus of insects and animals that create the vibrant pulse of life all around. These are lessons spoken not in words, but in silence and sensation, a language of presence and attentiveness that reveals the deep wisdom of the natural world. Learning in this way is a rich and profound experience, born not from hurried knowledge, but from quiet observation and patient engagement. It is the understanding found in the curve of a river's bend, the texture of bark weathered by time, the slow opening of a flower's petals toward the sun. These stories are not written in books, but lived and passed down as living memory, woven through shared moments and experiences, a sacred inheritance from one generation to the next. The elders embody this wisdom with every movement slow, deliberate, and graceful. Their hands gather herbs with practiced care, tend fires with reverence, shape tools with skill and patience. The child watches and learns, absorbing lessons beyond words that teach not only survival but respect, resilience, and harmony. Each act is a thread in the vast tapestry that connects the tribe to the land and to each other, a bond woven through time, experience, and mutual care. Participation in these daily rituals nurtures a growing sense of belonging and responsibility within the child. They come to understand that true strength is found not in loud declarations or fleeting victories, but in steady care, quiet patience, and the resilience to endure through hardship and joy alike. To live well means honoring the fragile balance that sustains all life between humans and nature, between individual and community. As twilight deepens and the fire's warm glow invites the tribe to gather, the child listens attentively to stories spun from memory and myth. These tales speak of ancestors who once roamed the same lands, of spirits dwelling in rivers, trees, and stones, of lessons learned through laughter and tears. These narratives are the living heart of the tribe, a sacred thread that weaves past, present, and future into an unbroken circle of life. In the quiet that follows, the child often seeks solace beneath the vast, star-filled sky. Here, surrounded by the infinite expanse of night and the gentle pulse of the earth beneath their feet, they reflect on the interconnectedness of all things, their breath mingling with the breeze, their heartbeat echoing the slow, steady rhythm of life itself. In this sacred space, they feel both small and infinite, fragile and enduring, lost and found all at once. Growth, the child realizes, is not a direct path but a winding journey filled with light and shadow, certainty and mystery. It is a slow unfolding of spirit and self that embraces change and uncertainty with open arms. It is the courage to continue forward when the way is hidden, the humility to learn from every step, and the grace to welcome both joy and sorrow as teachers along the way. So as your breath deepens and your body relaxes, allow yourself to be carried gently by this ancient current of becoming. Imagine walking softly beside the child through forests and fields, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath your feet, hearing the stories whispered by the wind. Let this vision calm your spirit and soothe your heart, a quiet sanctuary for your restless mind and weary soul. Sleep now, wrapped in the tender embrace of time and memory, woven into a story that stretches beyond the stars and into the infinite night. You are a vital thread in this vast tapestry of existence, unique, cherished, and forever becoming. The first gentle light of dawn spills slowly across the horizon, painting the sky with soft hues of pink, gold, and pale lavender as the world begins to stir from its deep slumber. The air is cool and fresh, carrying the delicate scent of damp earth mingled with the subtle fragrance of blooming wildflowers, a quiet symphony of nature's awakening. The child moves slowly and carefully through the ancient forest, feet barely brushing the mossy floor, attuned to the heartbeat of the earth beneath them and the myriad of subtle sounds that weave the forest's morning melody. Time here unfolds differently than in the hurried, measured moments of modern life. It moves as a gentle current, a slow, winding river that carries the cycles of day and night, season and season, weaving past, present and future into a seamless tapestry of existence. The child has learned to flow with this current, to step lightly with the rhythm of the land, to listen deeply to the silent songs of stone, tree, and sky. This ancient dance stretches beyond the present moment, linking them intimately with generations long past and those yet to come. Every single moment is rich with meaning, every breath a thread in a vast and intricate tapestry of understanding. The child watches as dappled sunlight filters through the canopy, casting shifting patterns of light and shadow that play softly across the forest floor. They listen to the gentle murmur of a nearby stream weaving its way among smooth stones, notice the soft flutter of wings as a bird rises into the vast expanse of sky. These delicate details, often unnoticed in the rush of everyday life, form a language not spoken in words, but felt deeply in the heart, a language of presence, attention, and reverence for the living world. To learn in this way is to embrace a wisdom born not of hurried facts, but of patient, loving observation and quiet immersion. It is to understand the curve of a river's bend, the texture of bark worn smooth by time, the slow unfurling of petals as a flower greets the morning sun. These stories are not written in books nor spoken aloud, but lived, shared, and passed down through generations like precious heirlooms, living memories woven into the very fabric of life. The elders move with deliberate grace and quiet strength, their hands skilled through years of intimate communion with the land. The child watches closely, absorbing lessons that transcend words, the careful gathering of healing herbs, the tending of fires that provide warmth and safety, the shaping of tools honed with patience and reverence. Each act is a thread in the great tapestry that binds the tribe not only to the earth, but to each other, a sacred bond woven through respect, care, and shared existence. Through participation in these sacred rituals, the child feels a deepening sense of belonging and purpose. They come to understand that true strength is not found in loud declarations or fleeting victories, but in steady care, resilience, and the quiet patience that sustains life through hardship and joy alike. To live well is to honor the delicate balance that holds all things together between humans and nature, between self and community. As twilight falls and the fire's warm glow beckons the tribe to gather, the child listens attentively to stories spun from memory and myth. These tales speak of ancestors who once roamed these lands, of spirits dwelling in rivers, trees, and stones, of lessons learned through laughter and tears alike. These narratives are the living heart of the tribe, a sacred thread stitching past, present, and future into an unbroken circle of life. In the silence that follows, the child often seeks refuge beneath the vast, star-studded sky, where the night stretches endlessly and the quiet pulse of the earth hums beneath their feet. Here, embraced by the infinite cosmos and the soft whisper of the night wind, they reflect on the interconnectedness of all things, their breath mingling with the breeze, their heartbeat going the earth's slow, steady rhythm. In this sacred space, they feel both small and infinite, fragile and strong, lost and found all at once. Growth, the child understands, is not a direct path, but a wending journey filled with light and shadow, certainty and mystery. It is a slow unfolding of spirit and self, a dance with change and uncertainty that asks for courage, humility, and grace. It is the willingness to move forward even when the way is unseen, the openness to learn from every step, and the acceptance of both joy and sorrow as teachers along the way. So as your breath deepens and your body softens into rest, allow yourself to be carried gently on this ancient current of becoming. Imagine walking softly beside the child through forests and fields, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath your feet, hearing the stories whispered on the wind. Let this vision soothe your spirit and calm your heart, a quiet sanctuary for your restless mind and weary soul. Sleep now, wrapped in the tender embrace of time and memory, woven into a story that stretches beyond the stars and into the infinite night. You are a vital thread in this vast tapestry of existence, unique, cherished, and forever becoming. The first delicate light of dawn begins its slow, graceful ascent across the horizon, gently brushing the sky with tender hues of rose, gold, and soft lavender, as if nature herself is awakening from a deep and peaceful slumber. The air is cool and fragrant, imbued with the subtle scent of damp earth mingled with the sweet aroma of blossoming wildflowers, a delicate symphony of awakening life that surrounds every living thing. The child moves carefully through the forest, their footsteps light and reverent upon the mossy floor, each step a quiet conversation with the earth beneath, sensing the slow, steady heartbeat of the land that has persisted through countless cycles of time. Here, time does not rush, it flows with the gentle patience of a river meandering through the ages, a current that carries the endless dance of day into night, season into season, weaving together past, present, and future into a seamless tapestry of existence. The child has learned to move in harmony with this flow, to listen intently to the quiet whispers of stone, leaf, and sky, embracing the rhythm that connects them not only to this moment, but to generations who walked these paths long before, and those yet to come. Every moment holds its own profound meaning, every breath a thread woven into the vast, intricate fabric of understanding. The child watches the dappled sunlight as it filters through the dense canopy above, casting shifting patterns of light and shadow that dance softly across the forest floor. They listen to the gentle murmur of a nearby stream, weaving its way around moss-covered stones, and notice the soft flutter of wings as a bird rises, soaring into the expansive blue above. These delicate details, so easily overlooked in the hurried pace of modern life, form a language unspoken yet deeply felt, a language of presence, attentiveness, and reverence for the living world that surrounds them. To learn in this way is to embrace a wisdom born, not of hurried facts but of patient, loving observation and quiet immersion. It is to understand the curve of a river's bend, the texture of bark smoothed by the gentle passage of time, the slow unfurling of petals as a flower greets the morning sun. These stories are not inscribed in books nor spoken aloud but lived, shared, and passed down through generations as precious heirlooms, living memories woven into the very fabric of life. The elders embody this wisdom fully. Their movements are deliberate and graceful, their eyes keen and kind, reflecting years of intimate communion with the land. The child watches and absorbs, learning lessons that transcend words. The careful gathering of healing herbs, the tending of fires that provide warmth and protection, the shaping of tools crafted with patience and reverence. Each action is a thread in the great tapestry that binds the tribe not only to the earth but to each other, a sacred bond woven through respect, care, and shared existence. Through participation in these sacred rituals, the child feels a deepening sense of belonging and responsibility. They come to understand that true strength is not found in loud declarations or fleeting triumphs, but in steady care, resilience, and the quiet patience that sustains life through hardship and joy alike. To live well is to honor the delicate balance that holds all things together between humans and nature, between self and community. As twilight descends and the fire's warm glow beckons the tribe to gather, the child listens with rapt attention to stories spun from memory and myth. These tales speak of ancestors who once roamed these lands, of spirits dwelling in rivers, trees, and stones, of lessons learned through laughter and tears alike. These narratives are the living heart of the tribe, a sacred thread stitching past, present, and future into an unbroken circle of life. In the silence that follows, the child often seeks refuge beneath the vast, star-studded sky, where the night stretches endlessly and the quiet pulse of the earth hums beneath their feet. Here, embraced by the infinite cosmos and the soft whisper of the night wind, they reflect on the interconnectedness of all things, their breath mingling with the breeze, their heartbeat echoing the earth's slow, steady rhythm. In this sacred space, they feel both small and infinite, fragile and strong, lost and found all at once. Growth, the child understands, is not a direct path but a winding journey filled with light and shadow, certainty and mystery. It is a slow unfolding of spirit and self, a dance with change and uncertainty that asks for courage, humility, and grace. It is the willingness to move forward even when the way is unseen, the openness to learn from every step, and the acceptance of both joy and sorrow as teachers along the way. So as your breath deepens and your body softens into rest, allow yourself to be carried gently on this ancient current of becoming. Imagine walking softly beside the child through forests and fields, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath your feet, hearing the stories whispered on the wind. Let this vision soothe your spirit and calm your heart, a quiet sanctuary for your restless mind and weary soul. Sleep now, wrapped in the tender embrace of time and memory, woven into a story that stretches beyond the stars and into the infinite night. You are a vital thread in this vast tapestry of existence, unique, cherished, and forever becoming. The pale light of dawn unfurls slowly, spilling its gentle hues of rose and gold across the awakening horizon, as if the world itself is breathing softly after a long, restful sleep. The air carries a crisp freshness, mingled with the delicate scent of moist earth and blossoming wildflowers, whispering secrets of countless mornings past and those yet to come. The child steps lightly, with a quiet reverence, through the dense forest, each footfall a tender caress upon the soft moss and leaf-strewn floor, feeling beneath them the deep, rhythmic heartbeat of the earth, steady, unyielding, eternal. Time here is not a hurried taskmaster, nor a measured beat to chase relentlessly. Instead, it flows like a languid river weaving through the vast tapestry of life, bending and turning through seasons and cycles, linking the present moment with a past rich with memories and a future ripe with promise. The child has learned to move in tune with this flowing rhythm, stepping gently alongside the slow unfolding of nature's eternal dance. This ancient cadence weaves their being into a fabric that stretches beyond themselves, embracing ancestors long gone and generations yet unborn. Each moment, each breath, becomes a thread in the grand, intricate tapestry of understanding, a tapestry woven with the soft light filtering through the canopy, the murmuring of a distant stream, threading its way around ancient stones, the flutter of wings as a bird ascends toward the boundless sky. These subtle details, often overlooked in the frenzy of modern life, are the language of presence and deep attentiveness, a language not spoken in words but felt in the quiet spaces of the heart. Learning here is not the frantic collection of facts, but the gentle cultivation of wisdom through patient observation, through immersion in the subtle rhythms of life. It is the knowledge held in the curve of a river's path, the worn texture of bark shaped by centuries, the slow opening of petals greeting the dawn. These are stories not inked on pages, but lived, breathed, and passed lovingly from one generation to the next as treasured memories and teachings. The elders embody this wisdom with every deliberate movement, their hands skilled and sure, their eyes soft yet sharp with the insight of years entwined with the land. The child watches, absorbing lessons beyond words, the careful selection of healing herbs, the tending of fires that cradle warmth and safety, the crafting of tools shaped with patient hands. Each act is a vital stitch in the vast fabric that binds the tribe to the earth, and to one another a sacred bond woven from respect, care, and shared existence. As the child participates in these daily rites, a profound sense of belonging and responsibility blossoms within them. They come to understand that true strength is not loud or fleeting but steady, resilient, and quiet, sustaining life through both hardship and joy. To live well is to honor the delicate balance between humanity and nature, between the self and the community, a balance fragile yet enduring. When twilight descends and the warm glow of the fire draws the tribe together, the child listens with rapt attention to stories spun from memory and myth tales of ancestors who once roamed these lands, of spirits dwelling in rivers, trees, and stones, of lessons learned through sorrow and laughter. These stories are the beating heart of the tribe, a sacred thread stitching together past, present, and future into an unbroken circle of life. In the quiet that follows beneath the vast, star-studded sky, the child seeks solace. Here, embraced by the infinite cosmos and the gentle whisper of night winds, they reflect on the profound interconnectedness of all things, their breath mingling with the breeze, their heartbeat echoing the slow, steady rhythm of the earth itself. In this sacred space, they feel at once small and infinite, fragile yet strong, lost and found. Growth, the child knows, is not a linear path but a winding journey filled with light and shadow, certainty and mystery. It is the slow unfolding of spirit and self, a dance with change and the unknown that requires courage, humility, and grace. It is the willingness to move forward even when the path is hidden, the openness to learn from every step, and the acceptance of joy and sorrow as equal teachers. So, as your breath deepens and your body softens into rest, allow yourself to drift gently on this ancient current of becoming. Imagine walking softly beside the child through forests and fields, feeling the earth's pulse beneath your feet, hearing the whispered stories carried on the wind. Let this vision calm your spirit, soothe your heart, a quiet sanctuary for your restless mind and weary soul. Sleep now, cradled in the tender embrace of time and memory, woven into a story that stretches beyond the stars and into the infinite night. You are a precious thread in this vast tapestry of existence, unique, cherished, and forever becoming. The tender light of early morning stretches slowly across the horizon, unfurling in soft ribbons of pale pinks and gentle golds that bathe the waking earth in a serene and sacred glow. The air is crisp and filled with the delicate fragrance of damp soil mingled with wild flowers, a subtle perfume carried by a whispering breeze that weaves through the ancient trees. The child moves with a quiet reverence, each step a gentle touch upon the mossy carpet beneath, feeling the deep, steady heartbeat of the land beneath their feet, a pulse that has echoed through countless cycles of dawns and dusks, through seasons and centuries. In this place, time flows not in hurried ticks or measured beats, but in a vast, slow current that binds moments together in a seamless dance. The child has learned to move in harmony with this eternal rhythm, to listen deeply to the silent conversations between leaf and wind, stone and stream, sky and earth. This dance stretches beyond the confines of the present, entwining them with generations long past and those yet to come in a sacred weave of existence. Every breath taken, every sound heard, every flicker of light and shadow is a thread woven into the grand tapestry of understanding. The child watches as dappled sunlight filters through the canopy, casting ever-shifting mosaics of brightness and shade across the forest floor. They listen to the gentle babble of a nearby creek, tracing its winding journey over smooth stones, and notice the soft flutter of a bird's wings as it rises toward the boundless sky. These subtle details, so easily lost amid the rush of modern life, are the language of presence and deep awareness, a language felt in the heart rather than spoken with words. To learn here is to embrace a wisdom born not from hurried accumulation, but from patient, attentive observation and quiet immersion. It is to perceive the winding path of a river, the weathered texture of bark shaped by time, the slow unfurling of petals greeting the dawn. These stories are not written in books but live, breathe, and lovingly passed down through generations as living memory and inheritance of spirit and place. The elders embody this wisdom fully, their movements deliberate and graceful, their eyes reflecting years of intimate communion with the land. The child watches and absorbs lessons beyond words, the careful gathering of healing herbs, the tending of fires that offer warmth and protection, the shaping of tools crafted with patience and reverence. Each act is a vital stitch in the fabric that binds the tribe not only to the earth but to one another, a sacred bond woven from respect, care, and shared life. Through participation in these sacred rituals, the child's sense of belonging and responsibility grows deep and true. They come to understand that strength is not loud or fleeting, but steady, resilient, and quiet, a force that sustains life through hardship and joy alike. To live well is to honor the fragile balance that holds all things together between humans and nature, between self and community. As twilight descends and the fire's warm glow draws the tribe near, the child listens intently to stories spun from memory and myth tales of ancestors who once roamed these lands, of spirits dwelling in rivers, trees, and stones, of lessons born from laughter and tears. These stories are the beating heart of the tribe, a sacred thread stitching past, present, and future into an unbroken circle of life. In the quiet that follows, beneath a vast sky studded with stars, the child finds solace. Embraced by the infinite cosmos and the soft murmur of night winds, they reflect on the deep interconnectedness of all things, their breath mingling with the breeze, their heart beating the earth's slow, steady rhythm. In this sacred space, they feel at once small and infinite, fragile and strong, lost and found. Growth, the child knows, is not a straight path, but a winding journey marked by light and shadow, certainty and mystery. It is a slow unfolding of spirit and self, a dance with change and the unknown that calls for courage, humility, and grace. It is the willingness to step forward when the path is unseen, the openness to learn from every experience, and the acceptance of both joy and sorrow as teachers along the way. So, as your breath deepens and your body sinks into rest, allow yourself to be carried gently on this ancient current of becoming. Imagine walking softly beside the child through forests and fields, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath your feet, hearing the whispered stories carried on the wind. Let this vision soothe your spirit and calm your heart, a quiet sanctuary for your restless mind and weary soul. Sleep now, wrapped in the tender embrace of time and memory, woven into a story that stretches beyond the stars and into the infinite night. You are a precious thread in this vast tapestry of existence, unique, cherished, and forever becoming. The soft glow of the early morning light stretches slowly across the horizon, casting a gentle wash of warm pinks, soft golds, and tender lavenders over the waking world. The air is crisp and carries the faint but sweet aroma of damp earth mingled with blossoming wildflowers, creating a delicate symphony of scents that speak of renewal, growth, and the timeless rhythms of nature. With quiet steps, the child moves through the forest's embrace, their feet barely disturbing the soft moss and fallen leaves beneath, sensing the steady, ancient heartbeat of the earth beneath them, a pulse that has persisted through countless dawns and dusks, seasons and centuries alike. Here, time flows not in hurried ticks or relentless measures, but in a slow, winding current that carries the endless dance of life forward, day into night, season into season, moment into moment, woven into a vast and seamless tapestry of existence. The child has learned to move gently with this flow, listening deeply to the silent stories whispered by leaf and wind, stone and stream, sky and earth. This ancient dance binds them not just to the present moment, but to ancestors long gone and generations yet to come, threading their being into the vast fabric of life itself. Each breath taken, each sound heard, each flicker of light and shadow becomes a thread in this grand, intricate weave of understanding. The child watches the dappled sunlight filtering through the canopy, casting ever-shifting patterns of illumination and shade upon the forest floor. They listen to the gentle murmur of a nearby brook as it winds its way over smooth stones, and catch the soft flutter of a bird's wings as it rises toward the endless sky. These subtle details, so easily missed in the frantic pace of modern life, form a language not spoken with words but felt deeply within, a language of presence, of attention, and of reverence for the living world around them. Learning in this way is not the hurried gathering of facts, but a patient, loving immersion in the rhythms of life. It is to understand the curve of a river's bend, the worn texture of bark shaped by time, the slow unfurling of petals greeting the dawn's light. These stories are not inscribed on pages, but lived and shared, passed lovingly from one generation to the next, as living memory and inheritance of spirit and place. The elders embody this wisdom fully. Their movements are deliberate and graceful, their eyes sharp yet kind, reflecting years of intimate communion with the land. The child watches and absorbs lessons beyond words. The careful gathering of healing herbs, the tending of fires that provide warmth and safety, the shaping of tools crafted with patience and reverence. Each act is a vital stitch in the great tapestry that binds the tribe not only to the earth, but also to each other. A sacred bond woven through respect, care, and shared existence. Through participation in these sacred rituals, the child's sense of belonging and responsibility grows deep and true. They come to understand that strength is not loud or fleeting but steady, resilient, and quiet, a force that sustains life through hardship and joy alike. To live well is to honor the fragile balance that holds all things together between humans and nature, between self and community. As twilight falls and the fire's warm glow draws the tribe near, the child listens intently to stories spun from memory and myth tales of ancestors who once roamed these lands, of spirits dwelling in rivers, trees, and stones, of lessons born from laughter and tears. These stories are the beating heart of the tribe, a sacred thread stitching past, present, and future into an unbroken circle of life. In the quiet that follows, beneath a vast, star-studded sky, the child finds solace. Embraced by the infinite cosmos and the soft murmur of night winds, they reflect on the deep interconnectedness of all things, their breath mingling with the breeze, their heartbeat echoing the earth's slow, steady rhythm. In this sacred space, they feel at once small and infinite, fragile and strong, lost and found. Growth, the child knows, is not a straight path, but a winding journey marked by light and shadow, certainty and mystery. It is the slow unfolding of spirit and self, a dance with change and the unknown that calls for courage, humility, and grace. It is the willingness to step forward when the path is hidden, the openness to learn from every experience, and the acceptance of both joy and sorrow as teachers along the way. So as your breath deepens and your body softens into rest, allow yourself to be carried gently on this ancient current of becoming. Imagine walking softly beside the child through forests and fields, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath your feet, hearing the whispered stories carried on the wind. Let this vision soothe your spirit and calm your heart, a quiet sanctuary for your restless mind and weary soul. Sleep now, wrapped in the tender embrace of time and memory, woven into a story that stretches beyond the stars and into the infinite night. You are a precious thread in this vast tapestry of existence, unique, cherished, and forever becoming. The soft hues of dawn begin to spread gently across the horizon, as if the very sky is slowly waking from a long and peaceful slumber. The air is crisp and cool, filled with the subtle scents of moist earth and blooming wild flowers that mingle delicately in the morning breeze, carrying with them the timeless whispers of nature's endless cycle. The child moves softly through the ancient forest, their footsteps barely disturbing the thick carpet of moss and fallen leaves beneath, feeling deeply the steady, ancient pulse of the earth that has remained unchanged through countless generations. In this place, time does not march forward with the relentless urgency we know in modern life. Instead, it flows like a calm river weaving through the fabric of existence, blending moments seamlessly, folding past, present, and future into one continuous, flowing story. The child has learned to move in tune with this eternal rhythm, to listen with care to the silent dialogues between leaf and wind, stone and stream, sky and earth. This dance connects them beyond the present moment, linking their being with ancestors long gone and those yet to come, weaving their spirit into the vast tapestry of life. Each breath, each subtle sound, every shifting patch of light and shadow becomes a thread woven into the grand design of understanding. The child watches as soft sunlight filters through the branches above, painting the forest floor with shifting patterns of brightness and shade. They hear the gentle babble of a nearby stream as it winds its way over smooth stones, and glimpse the flutter of a bird's wings as it rises into the wide, open sky. These delicate details, so often lost in the rush of daily life, form a language not spoken but deeply felt, a language of presence, attentiveness, and reverence for the living world. To learn in this way is not to collect facts hastily, but to immerse oneself patiently and lovingly in the rhythms of life. It is to understand the gentle curve of a river, the textured bark worn smooth by years, the slow unfolding of a flower's petals greeting the dawn. These stories are not written in books but lived and passed down with care from one generation to the next, living memories that carry the spirit of place and time. The elders carry this wisdom in every deliberate movement, their hands skilled and sure, their eyes warm, yet keen with the knowledge of years entwined with the land. The child watches and absorbs lessons that go beyond words, the careful gathering of healing herbs, the tending of fires that offer warmth and protection, the crafting of tools shaped with patience and respect. Each act is a vital stitch in the vast fabric that binds the tribe to the earth and to one another, a sacred bond woven from respect, care, and shared life. Through participating in these sacred rituals, the child's sense of belonging and responsibility deepens profoundly. They come to know that true strength is neither loud nor fleeting, but steady, resilient, and quiet, a sustaining force that carries life through both hardship and joy. To live well is to honor the fragile balance that holds all things together between humans and nature, self and community. As twilight falls, and the warm glow of the fire gathers the tribe near, the child listens intently to stories spun from memory and myth tales of ancestors who once roamed these lands, of spirits dwelling in rivers, trees, and stones, of lessons learned through laughter and tears alike. These stories are the beating heart of the tribe, a sacred thread stitching past, present, and future into an unbroken circle of life. In the stillness that follows, beneath the vast, star-studded sky, the child finds solace. Enveloped by the infinite cosmos and the gentle murmur of the night wind, they reflect on the profound interconnectedness of all things, their breath mingling with the breeze, their heartbeat echoing the earth's slow, steady rhythm. In this sacred space, they feel both small and infinite, fragile and strong, lost and found. Growth, the child knows, is not a direct path but a winding journey marked by light and shadow, certainty and mystery. It is the slow unfolding of spirit and self, a dance with change and the unknown that calls for courage, humility, and grace. It is the willingness to step forward when the path is hidden, the openness to learn from every step, and the acceptance of both joy and sorrow as teachers along the way. So as your breath deepens and your body relaxes fully into rest, allow yourself to be carried gently upon this ancient current of becoming. Imagine walking softly beside the child through forests and meadows, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath your feet, hearing the whispered stories carried on the wind. Let this vision soothe your spirit and calm your heart, a quiet sanctuary for your restless mind and weary soul. Sleep now, wrapped in the tender embrace of time and memory, woven into a story that stretches beyond the stars and into the infinite night. You are a precious thread in this vast tapestry of existence, unique, cherished, and forever becoming. The faint glow of dawn begins to stretch across the horizon, its tender colors, soft pinks, gentle golds, and pale lavenders slowly spilling over the landscape like the opening notes of an ancient, timeless melody. The air carries the fresh, subtle scent of earth warmed by the first rays of the sun, mingled with the delicate perfume of wildflowers freshly awakened from the night's embrace. The child moves with quiet reverence beneath the canopy of ancient trees, their feet barely disturbing the thick carpet of moss and fallen leaves, feeling deeply the steady, eternal heartbeat of the land beneath them, a pulse that has echoed for countless generations, carrying the wisdom of time itself. In this sacred space, time flows not as a hurried current, but as a patient river winding through the endless cycles of existence, day folding into night, season into season, moment into moment, woven seamlessly into the vast, intricate tapestry of life. The child has learned to move in harmony with this eternal rhythm, listening deeply to the silent conversations whispered between leaf and wind, stone and stream, sky and earth. This ancient dance ties them not only to the present moment, but to the countless generations that have walked these lands before, and to those yet to come, stitching their being into the great fabric of life itself. Every breath, every faint sound, every play of light and shadow is a thread in this grand tapestry of understanding. The child watches as sunlight filters softly through the dense canopy above, casting shifting patterns of brightness and shade across the forest floor. They listen to the gentle murmur of a nearby brook weaving its way over smooth stones and catch the delicate flutter of a bird's wings as it ascends toward the limitless sky. These subtle details, so often lost in the rush of modern life, speak a language not of words but of presence, attentiveness, and reverence for the living world. To learn in this way is to embrace wisdom born, not from hurried facts but from patient, loving immersion in the rhythms of life. It is to feel the curve of a river, the weathered bark smoothed by centuries, the slow unfurling of a flower greeting the dawn's light. These stories are not etched in books but lived, shared, and passed down with care through generations, living memories that carry the spirit of place and time. The elders embody this wisdom fully, their movements deliberate and graceful, their eyes reflecting years of deep communion with the land. The child watches and absorbs lessons beyond words, the careful gathering of healing herbs, the tending of fires that offer warmth and protection, the shaping of tools crafted with patience and reverence. Each act is a vital stitch in the vast fabric that binds the tribe to the earth, and to one another a sacred bond woven from respect, care, and shared life. Through participation in these sacred rituals, the child's sense of belonging and responsibility deepens profoundly. They come to understand that true strength is neither loud nor fleeting but steady, resilient, and quiet, a force that sustains life through hardship and joy alike. To live well is to honor the fragile balance that holds all things together between humans and nature, between self and community. As twilight falls, and the warm glow of the fire draws the tribe near, the child listens intently to stories spun from memory and myth tales of ancestors who once roamed these lands, of spirits dwelling in rivers, trees, and stones, of lessons born from laughter and tears. These stories are the beating heart of the tribe, a sacred thread stitching past, present, and future into an unbroken circle of life. In the silence that follows, beneath the vast, star-studded sky, the child finds solace. wrapped in the embrace of the infinite cosmos and the soft murmur of night winds. They reflect on the profound interconnectedness of all things, their breath mingling with the breeze, their heartbeat echoing the earth's slow, steady rhythm. In this sacred space, they feel at once small and infinite, fragile and strong, lost and found. Growth, the child knows, is not a straight path, but a winding journey marked by light and shadow, certainty and mystery. It is the slow unfolding of spirit and self, a dance with change and the unknown that calls for courage, humility, and grace. It is the willingness to step forward when the path is hidden, the openness to learn from every experience, and the acceptance of both joy and sorrow as teachers along the way. So as your breath deepens and your body softens into rest, allow yourself to be carried gently on this ancient current of becoming. Imagine walking softly beside the child through forests and meadows, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath your feet, hearing the whispered stories carried on the wind. Let this vision soothe your spirit and calm your heart, a quiet sanctuary for your restless mind and weary soul. Sleep now, wrapped in the tender embrace of time and memory, woven into a story that stretches beyond the stars and into the infinite night. You are a precious thread in this vast tapestry of existence, unique, cherished, and forever becoming.